Welcome to the Nihung's Arena! Highlighting Sikhs from around the world by showcasing their professions, passions, and perspectives. I'm your host, Mandheer Singh, aka the Nihung. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.
By Jagjit Singh, welcome to the Nihung's Arena.
Thank you for inviting me.
You are actually my first guest in this new studio doing this in person.
Okay.
All my guests have been over like Zoom, so.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Now, this is actually our second take. Nobody's going to know this. I didn't have to tell you guys this, but I had a little technical issue, but I think I sorted that out now. So I'm going to ask you to give your introduction again. You're in town because you're doing the Sikh Parenting Course, and you were gracious enough to come do this podcast with me in person. And if you could, just for our listeners, just kind of get into your background, how you got into Sikhi, and how you came about to do this course.
So, born in UK, grew up going to the Gurdwara. Parents would say to me, go Matha Tek, Gurpurbiya, or every Sunday go Matha Tek. Always proud to be a Sikh, but didn't know what being a Sikh meant. And a lot of the time it was just a case of, enjoyed being around the Gurdwara, had a lot of friends there. But we would go Matha Tek, and I could understand what my parents were saying in Punjabi, but I didn't really put too much attention to, I didn't think the Gurdwara was catering for me.
Right.
And they were basically, and in them days, you're talking the 90s, it was all to do with Khalistan, it was all about Shingarsh, it was the middle of the Shingarsh. And then, 92, when most of the Singhs have been Shaheed, that's when things were starting to change a bit, but that was big topics every Sunday. So I didn't really, we just went there, Matha Tek, played football outside.
Yeah.
And then what happened is when I came into Sikhi, we always stood up for our community. We were proud of being Sikhs. We had a lot of issues. What people in North America don't really understand about the demographics of the UK is that we have about 600,000 Sikhs, maybe 700,000 now, and then there's about 4 million Muslims.
Wow, yeah.
And we live in the same cities.
Those are a lot of the same odds that the Sikhs
had
to endure.
So we live in the same cities, and we don't have, growing up in the 70s, our parents and everything, they went and dealt with a lot of National Front and right-wing racism.
I see.
And that still exists. But in most of the cities, the clashes are happening between Sikh groups and Muslim groups. And a lot of it's based around drugs, grooming, and etc. We as a community would stand up for our community to make sure that no one's selling drugs to our kids.
Yeah.
And there was groups like Shira Punjab, other groups like that were all unofficially kind of affiliated with other, but all it was like all the brave boys in a city would say, look, basically, we don't want grooming here. We don't want any of this stuff happening. And so we were doing all that from the age of 14. And by the time, so we were proud of being Sikhs. We were proud of being, but we didn't know what being a Sikh was.
Yeah.
I went to Khalsa camp in 1992, actually to recruit Monday.
For your group.
For the group.
So that 92, you would have been like 18 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was one of the few Monday people at a camp of like maybe, because the Khalsa camps were much bigger. There were about 450 people at that camp.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
And it was like a culture shock to me. I had never seen so many Amritdhari, never seen so many young people that were Amritdhari growing up, even though I grew up in West London. And the camp had a profound impact on me. It was the first time I experienced Amritwil over 5 days. It was the first time I met so much pyar from so many, and first time I realized that so many good Amritdhari Singhs were at such good levels. It was like virtually everyone running the camp was a doctor.
Oh, wow. So they're all professionals.
Or a top professionals, or a university professor or anything, or a barrister. The kind of lectures we were hearing was like blowing my mind.
Yeah.
But I think the fundamental thing that hit me at that camp was an event happened at that camp. The event was that Jagjit Singh UK was Shaheed.
Yeah.
And it was in that camp, August 1992. And it was announced on the stage in the middle of a lecture that the messages come through and Jagjit Singh UK has just been Shaheed. And I saw people literally in tears. Even the person doing the lecture, who was this university professor, he's quite a famous doctor, he does a lot of TV shows now. And he was in tears. So many people in Sangat were in tears. And I turned around to the Munda next to me. I goes, who's Sukhdev Singh Babbar? I have no idea who this guy is. And he goes, don't worry, he's just like this amazing Singh. Everyone really respects him. He's like leader of our Qawm. And then the next thing they said to me was like, we're going to do a Ranswai tonight for his soul. He's done so much for our Panth and we owe it that we're going to do this. And what happened was, I said to the Munda next to me, I goes, what's a Ranswai? And he goes, don't worry about it. I goes, it's just Kirtan all night. I goes, am I allowed to come? And he goes, yeah, you said to come. I goes, what do I do? He goes, you just sit right at the front, right behind the Kirtanis, you close your eyes and you just sing all night and just repeat everything they say.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay. And I thought, well, they might not let me sit there. I'm the Munna guy, And so I sat behind them and closed my eyes, singing, because I didn't know the words of the shabs.
Yeah.
All I knew was every time they did Waheguru, Waheguru,
you knew how to say that.
I was just shouting Waheguru, Waheguru. Next thing I knew, it was 9 o'clock. I started. Next thing I knew, it was 6 o'clock in the morning. And it was like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And for me, that was like, wow. And I was like, that is just like, and that really hit me. And even though I was really much into rap music and Public Enemy and NWA and all of this stuff, and I was into jazz music and soul music, nothing had hit me the way Kirtan had hit me.
Right.
And so I left.
Do you know who was doing Kirtan that night? Like, who do you remember?
It was all youth. It was so random and everything. But I had my eyes closed all the time.
Right. Yeah. So you didn't know anybody. You didn't know any of the personnel.
And I went and I left that camp, thinking, I don't want to keep my gears, but I want to keep listening to Kirtan.
Yeah.
And then I went back on a Friday night with all my friends, because all Munna guys, we used to go and play snooker and go pubbing, clubbing, that kind of thing on Friday nights. And I went out with them the following night after the camp. And basically I looked at the meet and I couldn't look at it. It was like something had changed in me.
Oh, wow.
I said to him, look, I don't want to come out with you guys anymore. Not that I have any issues with you guys. We still have a lot of PR. Even till today, we have a lot of PR. I goes, I can't be here. I need to be at Gurdwara.
Yeah.
And then that was it. And then it was like...
So it's literally like a switch had gone off in you.
Yeah. And then it was like, I didn't formally think, that's it, I'm going to keep my gears.
Right.
But I couldn't shave anymore.
Interesting.
And he was like, I don't want to do it. And it just came. And then I said to one of them, teach me how to do it at the start. And that was it. And it was like, it was not like a conscious decision. It was just more like, this is now my new comfort zone. And I want to become a Singh. And then the thing with me was, I was thinking, all the things I wanted to hear as a Munna guy from that Gurdwara stage, no one is saying it.
Yeah, yeah.
I know.
Right.
They're saying all these things, and while it's good things, how is it relevant to my life?
Right.
And I thought, no one's doing these talks. And in 92, there was no one. And so one day I just thought, well, you can't just basically wait for someone. You got to take the Panth Jummivari on your shoulders. And so basically I just wrote a presentation. I went to Gurdwara. They all knew me because they knew me from my martial arts background and the other sevas that we'd done before as a Munna people. And they just said, Jagjit Singh, we trust you. We'll let you speak on stage. I spoke on stage and it had a huge impact.
Okay, wait, hang on though. I feel like there's a big gap here. So 92, you're 18, this all happens. In between, you went to university, you got a degree, you have a law degree, is that right?
Yeah, I have 3 degrees.
Okay.
One is law, one is care management, and now recently I've done my 3rd one in documentary making. Okay.
So you had these professional skills, you had learned how to...
No, at that time, I was just starting, it was actually just before university. I think I was doing A-levels.
I see, okay.
Just doing my exams, and I was just about to go to university.
But you still had this feeling like, I'm not hearing what I want to hear. Let me think about how to say these things.
Bear in mind that I'd been speaking on Gurdwara stages from probably the age of 8.
Okay.
Because our Punjabi school head teacher was really amazing. And he would just basically he would write these little paragraphs and make us stand there. So he got us the fear of actually standing in front of people. You know, you hear so many young kids saying...
Yeah, you're definitely not afraid of speaking. Yeah, you would definitely have the confidence.
So many young kids are like, I don't know how I can speak in front of anyone. And our Punjabi school teacher was so good at that.
I see.
He just like, I'm going to write it for you on a piece of paper. You just got to stand there and repeat.
Yeah.
And we were so used to that. So we were comfortable. And then I realized that the impact, the feedback I was getting from these talks, because I was thinking about Sikhi in such a different way, because I couldn't read Gurbani.
I see.
And so I read the Guru Granth Sahib all in English.
Oh, interesting.
Beginning to end. And people might think, well, that's wrong. But for me, I thought it was brilliant because I got the fundamental ideas.
Right.
And it was interesting, my journey before that, because when you're a Munna person, you always have that Muslim friend that wants to convert you. Yeah. And this is a UK thing. UK people don't understand that straight away.
No. This happens in America. It happens more with Christian.
Okay.
We have Christian, like missionary types. They'll come to college campuses and they'll stand there and they preach to everybody and they try to debate you. If they see you look different, like they would see me, and then they would try to make a point against some kind of Asian religion idea that they have, and they're trying to engage you in a debate. And they have this mentality that if I can defeat you in debate, then I'll have made my point and I've done my job for Christ. I have exposed you to the truth of Christ. Now it's on you whether you accept it or not. I actually had somebody come to my house, one of our friends.
I would love to meet someone like that.
Oh my God.
I have fun with that.
That's what happened. One of these guys came over to my house because he used to play basketball with us and he got it in his head. He came and he knocked on my door. Me and some of the things were all just hanging out. And he goes, hey, I just thought of a big flaw in your religion. I go, okay, why don't you come inside, sit down. I go, okay, so what's the big flaw? He goes, well, you guys believe in reincarnation, right? I go, no, not really. We actually believe in transmigration. But for the sake of your argument, let's say, he goes, well, what's transmigration? I go, transmigration is the idea that souls don't just travel from human being to human being like reincarnation. They can travel across all kind of life forms. I go, but what was your point? He goes, well, I was going to ask you, if there's more people on the planet today than there was in the past, then where do all the new souls come from? And I go, okay, first of all, do you believe God is all powerful? He's like, yes. I go, so God can create however many souls he wants, anytime he wants, right? He goes, okay, yeah. I go, so that's fundamentally that answers your question, right? He goes, okay, yeah, I guess so. And I go, and secondly, if it's transmigration, there's literally billions of species of life in each cell. And you have no idea what consciousness is in all these forms of life. And that can all be transferring, insects and animals and people and all these things. So then he started getting a little frustrated and then we kind of pushed him a little bit. And then we found out like the whole philosophy behind it. Again, I'm not trying to slam Christianity or criticize it in any way, but he came to my house, knocked on my door to challenge our beliefs. And then he told me, he said he believes that when he comes and confronts somebody, the Holy Ghost will embody him and give him the information to expose you to Christ, to present Christ to you. And the Holy Ghost then will respond and you will never lose a debate because the Holy Ghost is with you. Well, he got pretty embarrassed that day. Yeah. We just told him, stay, eat with us. We'll go play basketball later. He was still, we didn't have anything against him, but I think we see that more from Christians. I never really experienced that from the Muslim side. And it's interesting in the UK that you guys had this clash, because I was wondering even earlier when you were saying about how they're selling drugs and they're grooming, I was wondering, do they target the Sikh community or do they not do that to their own community?
No, they target, when you have the grooming issues, the largest community they've targeted is the white community.
Okay.
When you look at the statistics, like one place called Rotherham, they had thousands of girls that they groomed. It's all gangs, because it's basically a case of if you're a taxi driver and you're working like a shift, you might earn about £300 or something driving a taxi.
Yeah.
If you get a girl on drugs and you can sell her, you'll earn about £2,000.
Right, but I guess what I'm asking is, like, do they not do that to their own community? Or do they also do it to their own community? They just target anybody that's weak?
I think there's very rare cases where they do it to their own community.
Oh, that's interesting.
Some will.
So it is targeted.
It is targeted.
Yeah, that's
so what it is they'll do mainly to Goriya, but if they get a Jewish Guri, a Hindu Guri, or a Sikh Guri, they might think she's worth more.
Okay. Oh, I see. Wow.
You know, so that's the kind of way it works. But going back to the whole thing, so I had the Muslim friend that always wanted to convert me, and I would joke around with him, and he gave me a Quran one day, and it was just literally, I was just bored out of my head. Yeah. I think I was at work doing one of these work experience things, and it was a crap place. Yeah. And you know, there was a Quran there. I thought I might as well read it, and it took me probably just over 3 hours.
It was in English, obviously. Right?
Yeah, it was translated, and I just read it. So I thought, yeah, done that, tick that box.
Yeah.
And I remember going on I was working in Dublin just on a project in Ireland, and I was bored you know, I was there for 4 days, I was bored, and you always have the Gideon Bible in the, in the drawer.
Yeah.
So I thought, might as well just read it.
Yeah.
And I just read it end to end over the 4 days, and did that. But I was really interested in Buddhism. It had the right image.
Yeah.
And before all this, I thought growing up, I thought Buddhists have the right image, man. They're just like, I've always had a thing for people that were really calm and measured.
Right.
And I wasn't, you know, I've always respected that.
Yeah, yeah.
And Buddhists would come. Then I read about Buddha and I read about things, and I was a bit disappointed. I thought it was really good. There's nothing, I don't disagree with it, but it wasn't profound on the level that I was really looking for. And I thought it was actually quite, you know, it was nirvana, it was basic, and it was sensible, etc. And it was interesting, the last thing I read was the Guru Granth Sahib, even though I'd go to the Guru Gurdwara and everything.
Wow.
And I think it was pure coincidence. But when I read the Guru Granth Sahib, it just totally blew my mind.
Interesting.
And it was like, I'd been searching for something, and I thought it was quite good at that time that Maharaja took me on this journey where I read the other things.
Others first. Yeah.
And because when you read the Middle Eastern texts, the Bible and the Quran, a lot of it was tribalism. A lot of it was, I thought, was social control. A lot of it was like, you need to do this, or a lot of it was fables.
Yeah.
They might have had really good morals, but they were still fables, you know?
Right.
When I read the Guru Granth Sahib, it was like, you're Atma, this is Paramatma, this is Naam, and this is Vikars, and this is what you should be searching for, Satsantok Dayataram. This is all. And it was like, wow, man, this really talks to your soul. This is not tribalistic. It's not fables and gender-based, whether them fables are true or not. It was just like, this was just like next level stuff.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind. And when I say to people, read the Guru Granth Sahib in English, if you can't have that level of Punjabi, but don't get into a thing where you spend years thinking, I'm not going to read the Guru Granth Sahib because I can't read Punjabi.
Right.
It's better than just read it in English.
Right, right.
Because what I found with myself was it made me actually encourage me to go and learn Punjabi. Because I'd gone to Punjabi school for 11 years and I spoke basic Punjabi. All I learned at Punjabi school was who's in my town that plays football. And we went and played football with them.
Right.
You know? And we just dossed around. It was nothing on the teachers. They were really nice, but it was like a child would only learn something if they want to learn.
Yeah. And
no one ever explained to me why we learned Punjabi. And I was thinking at that time as a Munna guy growing up, I thought, well, if I want to get a top job, I speak English, world language. You know, at most I might learn a bit of French or a bit of German. Right. What else do I need?
Yeah.
You know? And then when I read the Guru Granth Sahib, it's like, damn, man, I should have concentrated more at Punjabi school. You know? And then I had a really good friend and he taught me Punjabi in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I mean, it's amazing. Punjabi can be learned like that.
Yeah.
I know so many cases of this where people learn Punjabi very fast because it's a phonetic language, right? Like that letter makes that sound.
Yeah.
And so if you memorize the list of 35 letters and some of these Lagamatra, you pretty much got it.
And then when I started reading things in Punjabi, I realized the books in English are good on Sikhi, but when you're reading them in Punjabi, they're next level.
Okay.
And part of that is the fact that I realized that English, while it's a world language, mainly because of colonialism and the Commonwealth, etc., but as a language, it's actually quite poor.
Interesting. Okay.
I find it's a very rough language. And for it, let me give you an example. You will never have opera in English.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? Because English is very rough. You will have opera in Italian.
Yeah.
You will have it because it flows. And the spiritual depths of Gurbani, the spiritual depths that you have, it's hard to explain them concepts in English because the words don't exist.
That's true, but that's going to be true of any language, though. There's words that don't exist in Punjabi, and then we have to make up words for them.
I would say that this is a personal thing. You know, people will agree or disagree.
Yeah.
I would say that the depth of emotion that you get from Gurbani is hard to put in English words. This is what I find when I'm doing a lot of my talks. They dual language, English and Punjabi. But by the end of it, I'm doing 90% Punjabi, Gurbani, because I'm trying to explain a concept which I'm struggling to find the words in English.
Yeah. No, do you mind if I push back a little bit on the English thing?
Yeah.
You do mind or you don't mind?
No.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to. I know you made this point yesterday. The number one most difficult language is Russian.
Yeah.
And then the second most difficult is English, but we all learn to speak English.
Yeah.
So it kind of puts into frame how easy it would be to learn Punjabi, because Punjabi is very easy to learn.
I think that's important for when you're a Munna person, and just to put just for this, Munna is the wrong word. And this was pointed out to me by an Afghani Sikh.
Okay.
And I thought it was really interesting. He goes, don't use the word Munna. And I thought, well, I've always grown up with that word Munna.
Yeah. And
I said to him, Uncle Ji, why? Please explain it to me. And he goes, Munna was a word we used to use for Brahmins because they used to have a mundi.
Oh, okay.
And he goes, if a person is growing up and they don't understand Sikhi, we call them agyani.
Yeah, they just don't know.
And when Guru Ji does kirpa on them, we call them gyani.
Right.
And I thought that was really interesting.
Well, it's a much more loving way, accepting way to deal with it.
But anyway, what I was saying is growing up with cut hair and being very westernized, I think it's important to make people realize that learning Punjabi is so simple.
Yeah. No, the point I was going to make about English, though.
Sorry, it's essentially with the Learn Gurmukhi app that's been created by Share Charity, the fact that you can use the app and learn Punjabi in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So a bit of just a shout out for the app.
Yeah, no, definitely. We can definitely put a link to that too. I think that's the main point, is that Punjabi is so easy to learn.
Yes.
Gurmukhi alphabet,
which was intentional by Guru Sahib.
Yes, this is all part of the plan. But the thing about English being difficult, it is difficult, but there's a reason why I think English has evolved to be the universal language. And it's because English is actually a mixture of so many languages.
Yeah, true.
It's not British English or Old English, right? It's also got French words and Spanish words and Italian words.
Lots of Indian words.
Indian words, so many Indian words. I mean, people don't really realize, how much. I saw a whole thing about the etymology of Australia, that is Austravalia. It actually comes from from Indian origins. And we just say Australia, nobody thinks twice about it. But English has become this, it's a very complicated language. It's hard to know the rules because it's borrowed from so many languages and so many cultures.
That's what complicates it. If you're the fact that we grew up in schools in the Western countries and so it became like our first language.
Yeah.
If it wasn't that case, it's hard to learn. Because, for example, if you use the word rough, it should be R-U-F-F.
Right.
It's not. It's R-O-U-G-H.
Right.
You would never think it's R-O-U-G-H phonetically.
Right.
Because it doesn't even make sense.
But it's actually coming from somewhere. I'm not sure what the origin, but like tough, rough, like these words, they must be coming from some other language.
When you're learning Punjabi,
you don't have to do that. Yeah, you don't have to do that. There's no comparison. The simplicity of Punjabi, the Gurmukhi alphabet.
But do you not think as a human race, our languages should be very simple to learn?
No, because I think it goes back to the point you were making. There are so many complicated concepts. There are so many complicated emotions. There are so many things that get, quote unquote, lost in translation. So when we create a language that borrows from so much, we're actually expanding the vocabulary. We're expanding the way that things can be expressed, and they also evolve. There's old British English. There's American English. There's Southern American English. There's Black American English. These things also evolve, and they evolve naturally because people are expressing themselves in new ways, and it just evolves.
I totally accept what you're saying, but the way I would look at it is that there was Sanskrit, and it was designed to be exclusive.
Oh yeah.
And so Guru Sahib intentionally made a language because the way people exploit the other people is by taking education away from them.
Yes. Yep.
And so to create a language which is so universal that any person can learn so quickly,
right,
I think is amazingly revolutionary.
Yeah.
From our Guru Sahiban.
Yeah.
And I think that is much needed in this world in terms of generally we need to preserve, because we're living in a world now where countries through nationalism are trying to intentionally destroy languages.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's happening across the board because they're doing it for economic reasons or nationalist reasons.
Right.
You know? But the problem is when you destroy cultures and civilizations, which Christianity, Islam, and some of these others did originally, now you're getting Indian nationalism and other countries, China's doing the same thing with some. You're losing your nuance of human behavior.
Right.
You're losing the nuance of spirituality,
Right.
of diversity of thought.
Yeah, I don't think it should be
practice.
that one language or one culture should be dominating. That should never be the case.
It was an interesting thing what happened during the farmers' protest where they started, at the end of it, they started talking about, India should have Hindi as the national language. Hindi's never been India's national language.
Right.
And Hindi has actually been a very small regional language. Other languages have been more prominent. Punjabi has been far more prominent language in Indian history than actually Hindi has. But the thing is, if the Indian government wants to make in Hindi the national language because they say, it preserves unity, which is the thing they were presenting, I would counter that with the fact, well, why are you trying to start with language? Why don't you consider caste first?
Oh, right. Yeah, good point.
You should have one humanity.
Yeah.
Because if you look at India, it's the world's largest apartheid country. Because apartheid is not just what happened in South Africa where you had black people and white people.
Yeah.
Apartheid is a system of discrimination which is, legitimized by society.
Right.
And the caste system is that in India.
Right.
And so you have to realize that we can look at India. It is an apartheid country because it's intentionally legitimized because of certain practices by the Hindu religion or other things like that, or the text or whatever.
Yeah.
I personally think as a human race, we should be against caste, that kind of discrimination
100%,
and all of that kind of thing.
Yep.
And so the thing is, nationalism is cloaked in a lot of this kind of thing of hidden meanings, hidden talk, hidden all of this stuff, because the actual true thing they're trying to do is create a one way of thinking, which is just like, this country means everything to us.
Yeah.
But they realize the actual true wealth of the Indus valleys and all of that was its diversity. Was its diversity of thought, was the fact that this was a nation where spiritual people could act in a way that was different to what European countries or other places were doing. And it was so enriched by different cultures, different languages, different practices.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point. And going back to what you were saying about Punjabi or Gurmukhi being such an easy script and language to learn, I think there's also the language of Gurbani. That's where the Sikh focus really should be. We need to understand what the Guru is saying to us. Yeah. And we should be able to do it independently. We should be able to ourselves read and understand.
So coming back to why we did the talks was that I felt at that 1992, there was this gap where the Gurdwaras, and I still feel that around the world, where the Gurdwaras are missed a whole generation and they're still not adapted enough, and they're possibly going to miss another generation. Because in some cities, they're not feeling it. If you go to the big cities in Canada or big cities in England, because they've had so many young Punjabi people coming in, they've just replaced one Sangat from another. So they haven't realized that actually we've lost so many people because we've not engaged them properly.
Yeah.
But in other towns, smaller towns, etc., like this, you probably are feeling it. That the numbers are reducing in the Gurdwara, etc., because we need to be better at engaging them. Because what you will find is you only see the full extent of your Sangat is when you have a Nagar Kirtan. And then you realize, actually, this many people live in this town.
Yeah.
And they're Sikhs or Punjabis.
Right.
And then you realize only 10% of your Sangat come to the Gurdwara.
Yeah.
And as a person who was one of them 90%, and if you look at most of the active Sikhs in UK from all the different organizations, all the Parchariks and everything, most of us didn't have case. We feel that we should be speaking to 90% because we were the 90%.
Right, right.
And when you're growing up in Amritdhari families or the families that run the Gurdwara, I don't think they understand or feel that need enough.
Yeah.
Because they're very comfortable in their comfort zones.
Yeah.
And they're more interested in what Jathebandi is going on, or what is this person saying, or what is that person saying. And like, I remember once being interviewed in Toronto on a similar kind of TV program, podcast kind of thing. And they were asking me whether I'm with this one group, Daksal, or if I'm with this other group, missionary or
Yeah.
Danyala. I said, I'm with neither. I go, I'm the person that was the 90% that doesn't come to the Gurdwara and realizes more kids go to nightclubs than go to the Gurdwara.
Yeah.
And that, for me, is something that we should be addressing. You know, for me, I don't care about these kind of debates because I see them as very superficial.
Yeah, just know, because you know how they think. So you know what's going to appeal to them. And sometimes that's the trick. Sometimes you got to say something that may be sensational a little bit, or maybe a little controversial enough that you know this is the kind of thing that would have grabbed my attention. And now that I have your attention, let me bring it over here and show you what the Guru did. Let me show you what the Guru said. Let me show you how the Gurus built cities and how they built economies and how they created social justice. You start talking in those terms and all of a sudden people go, oh wait, that sounds like a real person. That sounds like a genius.
Yeah.
Instead of a God man.
So
You know what I mean?
my experience, and many people that I speak to, their experiences of coming to Gurdwara, and this is not to put Gurdwara down, I think most Gurdwara do a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard to do that level of seva, especially the langar. I mean, recently we were doing a talk at Khalsa camp, and I remember the talker saying that actually if you calculate how much money the Sikh community spends on langar every year, it goes into the billions.
Wow.
If you look at the number of Gurdwara, the amount of people that they're feeding.
Yeah. True. When you think about it.
And then you do your maths and work it back. And then you realize that it's billions. It's actually a massive seva for humanity.
Yeah.
And so I think they do a fantastic job in that. I just think we need to tweak some areas, which is mainly the way we talk. Because my experience of growing up, you would have a Sant Babe would come and they would come out with these like fantastical stories. And just a normal, rational person said, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
I don't believe that.
Right.
And so you're actually putting them off. Their chilli will believe it because they'll believe anything they say. If they said the sky is red, they'll believe the sky is red.
Yep.
And then you have other people that will just say, Gurbani is saying this, Gurbani is saying that. And as a as a person in the Sangat, you say, yeah, that's actually really interesting. But they will say that, but they won't take it to the next level.
Yeah.
The next level is, well, how does that relate to me?
Right.
And I think that next level is really important. So let me give you an example of this.
Okay.
So Guru Sahib, when he was a young boy, he was a shepherd, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Sikhi Parchar, and he's basically asleep and the cobra comes up to him.
Yeah.
We've all heard that.
Heard the Saki, yeah.
Yeah. So let's analyze the Saki. Because that's what the Kathakar will say, and everyone says Satanam Sri Vaheguru.
Yeah.
That's amazing, the cobra done. But let's analyze it a bit deeper, because we should be analyzing these things deeper. Okay, so if a cobra, a king cobra, stands like that, what is that king cobra saying? That king cobra, especially to a human being who's bigger than him, even them snakes are very big, but a human being's bigger than him, is saying, I'm scared, but I'm here. If you come near me,
stay away.
I'm going to bite you.
Yeah.
So I'm warning you now, don't come near me. So that's what we would class as anxiety, but also vikar. That basically I can hurt you.
Yeah.
But when you come into the Guru, so that is a negative thing. So as a human being, we are naturally, that's the natural mode of behavior for a sap, for a cobra.
Yeah.
But when we basically look at us as human beings, our natural mode of behavior is Kam, Krodh, Loh, Moh, Ahankar. That's why most of the world is indulging in it all the time, because that's what they see as natural to them. Okay? But when you come into the Sharan of the Guru, the Guru takes away your negative vikars and replaces it with positive vikars. Okay? So when you come and you read Gurbani takes you from Kam, Krodh, Loh, Moh, Ahankar, which are the 5 vikars, and replaces them with Sat, Santokh, Daya, Dharam. So it takes away your negative virtues and replaces them with positive virtues.
Yeah.
So in the same way, that sap came into the Sharan of the Guru took away its negative virtue of biting and hurting someone and replaced it of a positive virtue of doing seva, of giving someone shade.
Yeah.
And I think we have to then take that Saki from the first bit and explain the second bit and then say to Sangat, well, today, what is the lesson of today?
Yeah.
The lesson of today is we shared the Saki. So think about yourself. How are you engaging your guru so you can go away from your negative vicars and replace them with positive vicars? So I feel that the kathakars are going
even
there, 80%
example,
there, they're telling their stories, but I think that other 20% is really important
for really
the
important.
Aam Banda that comes to the Gurdwara.
It's essential, right? It's not even just really important, it's essential, because at that point, when you explain it like that, it actually doesn't even matter if the Sakhi is true or not. And then you don't have to get into these debates about, oh, that's not possible or that is possible. Because now that you understood the message of the Sakhi, you don't need to get into whether it is actually what happened or not. And some people get stuck on that. Some people will say, oh, I don't believe in any of these miracles. And other people will say, no, of course these miracles happen. There's the Guru, it's Waheguru, like all powerful. But understanding that transformation, that's what the Sakhi's talking about.
Yeah.
That you can go from someone that could hurt and you could become someone who does seva of the Guru.
I think what it is when you're looking at the section we have in our community that wants to challenge Sakhis with science and all this other stuff, they only exist because we have the other people that are coming up with these fantastical stories.
Right. It's kind of, it counterbalances it.
It's one is counterbalancing the other. I think the key thing for me, I just tend to ignore most of this stuff because I don't see it's fundamental to what I think our community needs.
Yeah.
I see what's fundamental, what our community needs is having talks about Sikhi, which are really engaging.
Yeah.
And then what happens is your Sangat, every week, we call it this process of learn and go. You come to the Gurdwara, you learn something, and then you go. And then you go and implement it.
Yeah.
And the implementation phase, so if I was to say to you, was Sajjan Tug a good person or a bad person?
Look, I'm probably the wrong person to say this to because I have a whole different crazy theory about Sajjan Tug, and it probably get me a lot of slack here on social media if I say what I really think what happened with Sajjan Tug. But fundamentally, I believe Sajjan Tug, he was a worshiper of Durga. And what he was doing was a practice of sacrificing people and taking their belongings as a way of worshiping Durga. And I think what happened, Guru Nanak Dev Ji showed him that there's actually something more, there's something greater, that he's already a person who's faithful in maybe a negative way.
Okay.
And he was able to transform it because he saw through Guru Nanak Dev Ji a better way that he can connect directly with Waheguru and serve Waheguru.
Okay.
But
so
yes, I know. The answer is he was a thief and a murderer.
Okay, so in what we would class in UK or just generally, and he was a serial killer.
Right. That's what you would say.
Because he killed multiple people.
Right.
Okay. So he was a serial killer, but fundamentally, it's like when I spoke in the Gurdwara today, and I said, how many of you have been coming here 10 years?
Yeah.
Put your hands up. Then 20 years, and then 30 years, then 40 years.
Yeah.
And the hands were coming up, and then slowly they were going down as they went up the years. And I said, have you changed?
Right.
And because I said the key thing is about implementation.
Right.
And if you're not implementing anything, if you're not going from a process of I'm here today, and bande koj dil hai roj fir pashtani mein, that basically every day I should analyze myself and see I'm a Sikh. For me, a definition of a Sikh is how I want to be the best quality human being I can possibly be before I pass away. Yeah. So that is an aim. I want to be the best quality. So if you're going to be that, trying to go through that process, every day you should be thinking, well, is there too much hankar in me? Is there too much growth in me? Is there too much? What can I do today to reduce my ego? And what can I do to improve this today? So every day you're having to implement something.
Yeah.
And the other thing I said yesterday in the course at the end when I was doing that summary shabd, end of part 2, I said, we argue over maryadas, but we sometimes forget that every shabd of the Guru Granth Sahib is a maryada.
Right.
And if we understand every shabd of the Guru Granth Sahib is a maryada, then basically every time we hear a shabd, we should be thinking, well, how can I implement that shabd now?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so Sajjan Tug was a serial killer. He was a terrible person, but he was still better than me. because he heard a shabd once. Sajjan Singh mein naal mein chaliya na chalan, and he went from Sajjan Tug to Pai Sajjan, a great saint, a great Gursikh. Yeah. It took one shabd.
Yeah, first Pracharak, first Dharamsal.
Yeah. And so then, a
just
serial
one
killer,
shabd. Yeah, that's a really good point.
is better than me because he implemented Gurbani.
Right.
And so it makes me think, well, I mean, I didn't mention that today. I was being a bit, I didn't want to go too hard on the Sangat. But he was like, yeah, he's better than me.
Yeah.
So I got to think, wow, man, a serial killer is better than me. I need to do something.
Yeah.
And that he said, so when we look at the Sangat is that we have to think is that I find with Sangats that if every Sunday they find something engaging, them Gurdwara are packed.
Right.
And so what it is that shows me that Sangat want to learn.
Yeah.
So when I hear Siane people, "Aithe nahi koi naujawan aunda, aithe nahi koi aunde, koi nahi kya karda Sikhi da," my experience is totally the opposite. My experience is go and do a talk in a Gurdwara, the Gurdwara get packed. People want to learn. It's transformative in people's lives. And it's only because we need to be better at presenting Gurbani.
Yeah.
And I think a big fundamental part of that, and I particularly say this to North America, is that the people growing up in North America are just as talented as the people growing up in UK. But why is it all the Parcharaks are coming out of UK? You've got one singing Calgary, Harman, that I can think of. I can't think of anyone else who's actually going from share to share the way that we are, or the way that Jagraj did with basics, or the way what Ravi was doing for Khalsa, or all of the things. If you look at why is everything so UK based, and when you've got so much talent in North America, I just think that there's still a mental block that I can't go and speak on a Gurdwara stage, even though they speak in all their workplaces, everywhere else. They just don't think, but they have to feel this need that I can actually take the Panch Jumewari on my shoulders. I can actually go to my Gurdwara and I can actually bring some transformative change. And the day that happens, you're going to find, just like we saw in UK from Sikhi to the Max and all the things that were happened 20 odd years ago that were transformative for our community. And you're going to have so much transformative move here, and you're actually going to create a far better environment for your kids growing up, because you're going to have such more richer Sangats with so many more people, and all these 90% of these people that only come at Nagar Kirtan will be coming regularly every week because they're learning something. And so you cannot outsource your Sikhi teaching to someone from Punjab, no matter how good a Gursikh they are.
Right.
Because they don't understand your kids. And so when I was in California, they kept asking me this question, why do you keep saying that we should have dual language prachar? And some of the Buzurgs were saying, "Nahi Jagjit Singh, we should only have Punjabi, we should be preserving Punjabi." And I said to him, look, let me explain it in your way then. Okay? I needed that English to get me to the state where I fall in love with Punjabi.
Right.
And then I speak Punjabi. At the moment, I've not fallen in love with it. That's the Aam Banda coming to the Gurdwara that's grown up in the West.
Right.
So, but the thing is, if I went and found, let me explain it, because they've come from Punjab and that's all they've seen, is that one form of running a Gurdwara. And I said to him, if I go and find a Sikh from Nepal, and he could be a Larivar Party, he could have had amazing Amritwala, he could be a Jyotvagasi Gursikh, true Jujaru, Nihung Singh, whatever, totally highest level of, quality Gursikh.
Yeah.
I bring him to Punjab and I put him on the stages, you still won't listen to him.
Right.
Even though he's a perfect Gursikh. Why? Because he doesn't look like you, he doesn't sound like you.
Yeah.
He can't relate to you in terms of the things he's saying because he's grown up in Nepal.
Yeah.
That's exactly the same thing for a young person growing up in any of these Western countries when they look at that person from Punjab.
I think this becomes a big barrier. He doesn't look like him,
he doesn't sound like him, he can't explain things in the life experience, the lived experience that they're having.
Yeah.
And other religions have tapped onto this, and I don't know about North America, but in UK, all the other religions are now creating homegrown pracharaks.
Yeah. No, I think the thing is that the challenge becomes...
And we should actually do Punjab a favour. Because what we're doing in this Western countries, anybody that's coming out of Punjab with a bit of talent for prachar, they just bring them out here.
Yeah.
And so who's actually doing Parchar there?
Yeah, nobody's doing it there. But it's really challenging because to me, preserving Punjabi can be an important thing, but it's so separate from Sikhi to me. Because even Gurbani is not just Punjabi, right? It's many languages.
Yeah, it's originally Shah Mukhi and everything.
So when we get stuck and focused on the Punjabi thing, that's the cultural aspect. That's no different than like when, if you were a Chinese Sikh and then you were like, well, I want to preserve my Chinese culture as part of my Sikhi. Well, no, you have to be able to separate your Sikhi culture from your culture where you live.
If we look at Guru Gobind Singh Ji, he spoke, significant number of languages. Mm-hmm. When you look at Jab Sahib, it's taken words from so many different languages.
So many languages.
But Guru Nanak Dev Ji travelled. He's the most travelled person on this earth.
Yeah.
And he travelled to other places as well. Because we know with Bir Dastagir Sakhi and everything else. So he's the most travelled person. He didn't basically it's all about engaging people. So he went and, when he was in the Middle East, he was engaging people there.
Yeah.
And we can't even engage our own families.
Right. And I think that's where the point lies. When you're talking to these people that get stuck on that. And I know some people just get stuck on it. And they're not wrong about preserving Punjabi, but they're stuck on that as like the first main thing.
Yeah.
And what we need is people to understand that there's a philosophy, there's a programming, Gurmat programming that you want people to absorb no matter what the language.
So the example I give in the parenting course, I showed them, this is why I didn't learn Punjabi at Punjabi school. It's nothing wrong with the teachers. They were really nice people.
Yeah.
They really looked out for us. They showed us loads of PR.
Yeah.
They treated us like we were their own kids. It was a mental block that we didn't know why. And part of this is the fact that as families, we never talk about Sachkhand.
Right, okay.
And this is a huge mistake in all of our families because we should be speaking about Sachkhand. So let me just elaborate on this whole point, okay?
Okay.
So the first thing we have to understand about Sachkhand is so fundamental to our whole journey as Sikhs. Because if we look at us, we were all either Hindus or Muslims, ancestrally. But at some point, someone in our lineage of our families came into Sikhi. And they could have been at the time of Guru Nanak Dev Ji.
Yeah.
They could have been at the time of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Because the reason is they met the Guru and they wanted to go to Sachkhand. So they left Islam or they left Hinduism. Or they could have been at the time of Mir Manu.
Yeah.
Which meant basically coming into Sikhi means death. But they would rather be killed and still have a chance of reaching Sachkhand. And then you look so many Sakhis from Guru Sahib's time, even when you read Bandhpaka.
How are you defining Sachkhand though?
Okay, let me just finish this. And so many people saying, Guru Sahib manu piri jini jaga.
Yeah.
Because that was fundamental to them. We want to get to Sachkhand. And so that was so fundamental because if they hadn't made that decision at the time they were making that decision, we would today be going to a mandir or a masjid.
Yeah, true.
And so that's changed all our family lineage because we now start going Gurdwara.
Yeah.
And today we don't even talk to our kids about the very fundamental reason why they changed from that religion to this religion.
Yeah.
So we should be talking to our kids. So we should be saying to our kids. Now, if you speak to your kids, and what I say is, the thing about Punjabi schools is they're all about teaching Punjabi, whereas they should be about teaching Gursikhi. Because if you teach Gursikhi, you automatically teach Punjabi.
Yeah.
And so what I've done in some of the Punjabi schools, etc., where I've done talks, I said to them, look, you don't need to come to Punjabi school ever again if you do a Sahaj Path.
Yeah, you were saying this yesterday, yeah.
And you watch, within a year, how many of them kids go and do a
They're so motivated. They don't want to go to Punjabi school.
They just want their weekends off. They've been at school all week. They want their weekends off to go and play football. And they will go and do a Sahaj Path.
Yeah.
And in that Sahaj Path, they will learn Punjabi, they will learn Santhya, they will learn everything. They've done their Sahaj Path. Once someone does one Sahaj Path, they always carry on doing Path. Because in that whole process of just doing one Sahaj Path, you realize, actually, this has been quite refreshing.
Yeah.
I quite really enjoy reading Gurbani.
And it is quite an accomplishment. It makes you feel motivated to do more. But
if you look at, because our kids are really intelligent, and if you saw in the parenting course yesterday, I said to them, how many people have read Harry Potter?
Yeah.
And how many kids put their hands up?
Yeah.
And when I say to them, there's more pages in Harry Potter as there are angs in the Guru Granth Sahib. And then he puts it in context. Wow, man, I could have read the Guru Granth Sahib.
Yeah, in that same
Why
time.
am I reading Harry Potter? I could just go and watch the movie.
That's true.
And so essentially, and when you put it in such a realistic way for kids to look at, and I say, actually, this is quite achievable. I should be doing this.
But can I have you just kind of go back? Like, I think it's kind of important. A lot of these things can get debated. And sometimes when I talk to people about Gurbani, I say, look, in Gurbani, it's clear. Naam is the answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Naam is, but how you define Naam, I'm not going to define it. Everybody's got a different definition. Some people say, oh, you just walk around nature looking at trees and that's Naam. And other people will say, nope, it's a technique. You have to sit down, you have to meditate, you use this breathing technique and that's Naam. And other people will say, no, doing Paat is Naam. And other people will say, no, you have to take the Shabad and understand the virtues of Waheguru and then bring those virtues inside of you and that's Naam. So everybody's got a different answer. I say, fine, your answer is fine. But let's all agree that Naam is the answer.
I would agree with that, but I would take it to the point where I actually believe that the Naam you're given from the Panch Pyare is Gurmat Naam. You know? And so doing it Saas Gras Simran and Rom Rom Har Har Vase, so even it goes so much inside you that even every hair of your body. And so I believe that basically there's only one thing you do 24/7, which is breathe.
Yeah.
And if you can do so much bhakti and simran to such a level that every time you're breathing, you're saying Waheguru.
Yeah.
You know? And that is what Naam is about. And then everything around you becomes, because your eyes look differently. I was talking about it yesterday. I said, when you look at the world with beautiful eyes, everything inside of you is beautiful. Whereas if inside you there's pollution, outside your mouth, pollution comes.
Right.
You know? And so if you're jumping Naam like that through the breathing system of Saas Gras Simran, because that is the only way that you're going to put it in your breath, and that's the only way you do it 24/7, then everything else falls in place. I believe that we have a situation where a lot of things from older times, everything was natural. Our circadian rhythm, the biggest issue we have today with our health and everything else is that we created an imbalance with our circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
I know. And this is why so many people find it so hard to do Amritullah.
Yeah.
Whereas in Punjab, growing up, or just generally in all over India, because Sikhs were all over India, not just Punjab. And you would go to sleep when it got dark. You would get up as soon as you're hitting first light. Amritullah was easy because your circadian rhythm was set. Your hormone system was set.
Yeah.
You know? And so basically, every part of you was in balance. And so you're doing Saas Gras Simran like that. They didn't really have these debates.
Yeah.
Because it was just basically, it was natural. Waheguru Simran Karna, it was natural. We're now living in a world where we have so much distraction of TV, internet, work, paying mortgages, all of this kind of stuff. There's so much distraction. And us as a human race, even when you looked at other cultures, they were doing Simran as well, but they were doing it different. You look at Aborigines, they had their songs. American Apaches had their songs. They were wise people. And every culture had wise people. And Africa had wise people. And Europe had wise people, because generally people realize, if you look at hardcore Christians, they were doing Simran. Muslims would do Allahu, Allahu. But everyone's doing bhakti in their certain way. But now we all of the cultures around the world are being so distracted by technology and everything else. And then they're talking about religion in a way where they're not practicing it to a deep level. And therefore we're now making excuses. Well, maybe Naam is not that, because I really don't want to do Amritullah every single day for like 2-3 hours.
Yeah,
and therefore,
I mean,
if Naam is just like the wind, and Naam is just like this.
No, I know.
Naam is just like that.
I know what you're getting at.
It's a very convenient answer.
I know it is.
But if you actually sit and you actually get to the point where you've done Sangat, and I feel blessed in the fact that I met Gursikhs like Bhai Rama Singh, Bhai Jeevan Singh, who took me through that process. Because many of the other people just wanting to use me, all the Jathebandi wanting to use me are just like, here's a Balara, and he will speak on any issue we give him. I will speak on 84, I will speak on, bullying, I will speak on grooming, I will speak on, the depths of Gurbani and Japji Sahib and all this and anything. But they were the ones that said to me, Potter, all these people, you're doing seva for the Panth, that's good, but actually, where is the light in the lighthouse? and find your light in your lighthouse. And this is what Bhai Rama Singh helped me with.
Okay.
And other people, in terms of actually do Bhagati in this way, build a Jeevan. I remember a fundamental thing, a Singh Khalsa ji, a really special Singh from Vancouver said to me, and he said to me that I sat there, I've never met this guy before, never been to Vancouver before.
Yeah.
They sat down, they put this big bhatta in front of me.
He was quite well known, yeah.
And he started talking to me. He goes, you tera naam man jordaya. He goes, you used to go to this Singh's house and used to do Amrit Wala with him, and you did it for many years. But then he goes, you stopped going. He goes, Fir jaya karo. And I looked up to him and I go, how do you know this about me? And yeah, I went to Bhai Son Singh's house.
Yeah.
And then all my uni years. And then as I got my dissertation, last dissertation, I was really stressed and doing that. And then I got my first job. And then Dil Hagi. And he's saying, go, Fir karya kar. Then he started telling me about my future.
Yeah.
He's saying, tu aa karna ya, par tu naam japya kar. Because that's going to help you do all of these things that you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I was like blown away. This guy's having this conversation with me.
Right.
And then he said to me something really fundamental that's always stuck with me. He goes, Jagjit Singh, inna naam japya kar, that wherever you go, all you see is Gursikhs. And if they're not Gursikhs, by looking at you, they want to become Gursikhs. And that was like, thank you. You just gave me something so special.
Right.
And so I started thinking about that, like, so when we talk about Naam and all this stuff, I know you have all these different pracharaks will have all these different versions.
Well, that's the problem. Like everybody's got their own, and I'm saying that gets into interpretation. And I don't want to challenge people's interpretation, but that's what I was saying.
This is Guru Nanak Dev's way is not that basically I need to then go and challenge and you because I think I'm right and you're wrong.
Right. No, I agree. But that's why I was asking you, like, how do you define Sachkhand though? Like, because the way you were talking about it, I want to understand, like, what do you call Sachkhand? How are you defining it?
So let me just, Guru Nanak Dev Ji's way is, for me, is enjoy the journey, be sincere. And I remember Gora Singh met once, and of course Shiv Charan Singh, beautiful Singh. And he said to me some really classic lines, which I use now and again.
Yeah.
And he goes, we were talking about Sikhi, and he's a really deep person.
Yeah.
And he said to me, he goes, Sikhi is very beautiful, but Punjabi is complicated. And he had me in hysterics because I thought I could just relate to that straight away.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, is that so right? That we actually need to rediscover the real beauty in Sikhi. And we need to cut out all this background noise of this pracharak said this or this pracharak said that. We just need to rediscover the beauty of Sikhi. For me, you're asking me, for me, it's about enjoying the journey. And one thing he said to me, he goes, do the simple things, but do them really well.
Yeah.
And so
that's
I
true
don't
in
need
anything.
to, I don't need to complicate, this and this and this. And for me is, do your Amrit Wala, do your Nitnem, be nice to everyone, don't judge anyone. Sare andar lok palai kam kar, help anyone, and basically just be as sincere as you can.
Yeah.
You're asking me to define Sachkhand. All I can say is I don't want to define Sachkhand.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's
as far
fair.
as I'm concerned, the day if Maharaji Kirpa wants me to, and he blesses me, I get there, I will see it, and if I don't get there, I can't define it.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair.
So, but ultimately, what it is we have so many people that think as a pracharak, you have to answer everything. And sometimes you just got to say, look, this is what Maharaj has blessed with me is, so I'm sharing this with you.
That's kind of what I was getting at. Like, we don't have to know every detail. We don't have to know.
But what I do know is the journey that Maharaj has taken me on from the age of 18 to today. I have such an amazing life.
Yeah.
Which I would have never have dreamed of having if I hadn't come into Sikhi.
Right.
And I have insulated my life from so much negativity that I see the rest of society in. Now, my father was the first one to come into Sikhi. And even though ancestrally my great-grandfather was Babrak Ali and Shaheed and everything, my Babaji was really Jeevanwala Singh. But my dad, when he came to UK, he cut his case and everything. But after 84, etc. All of them, they kept their gears and they came into Sikhi.
Yeah.
And my father basically set the bar for me. He's still probably the biggest role model for me, and my mother.
Yeah.
And they really set the bar, even though marriage kirpa sangat of all these Gursikhs. But everybody in my family now is Amritdhari. So no alcoholism affects my family.
Right.
No AIDS is affecting my family. No domestic violence is affecting my family. No cancers are affecting my family.
Right.
There's virtually everything I see the rest of the world wrestling with.
Right.
It doesn't affect my family.
Yeah.
So I feel that the more you come into Sikhi, the more, as long as you're doing it in a sincere way.
Right.
Because some people come into Sikhi but won't change the way they are.
Right. Right.
And so then they still carry on the same mode of behavior, just that they start wearing bana.
Right. They just look different. Yeah.
But essentially, if you're doing it in a sincere way, you insulate yourself from everything negative in society.
Yeah.
And I think that is so beautiful. And when people that are growing up in the West, especially the 90% that don't come to God, though, when they realize that, they find that really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we need to talk about this stuff more in terms of how does Sikhi benefit us? And for me, when I talk about it, I think Sikhi is more relevant today than it's ever been before.
Yeah.
Because what we were before, we were doing a lot of physical jobs and mentally we were relaxed. For example, like we were involved in kids and farmers in Punjab.
Yeah.
We come to westernized countries. Now our jobs are not so physically demanding en masse.
It's all mental.
But we're basically in front of computers, sitting on chairs.
Thinking, problem solving,
And so we're having a lot more, our bodies are weaker.
Yeah.
We're not going to live till the 80s and 90s like we think our Bazurgs are, because our bodies are not working in the kids, in the direct sunlight and all that kind of stuff. They were tough because they went through that process. So we have to realize we are going to get dementia earlier. We are going to get health issues earlier because most of our life is sitting in front of laptops and things like that. So we have to do more to mentally protect ourselves.
Yeah, and this was stuff that you were able to cover in the Sikh Parenting Course too. And one of the things I was wondering is like, because you mentioned how you were speaking for so long, did the Sikh Parenting Course, did that come out because of your experiences as a parent? Was it requests from people, or was it just a natural evolution of all these talks and presentations you had?
I have about 120 talks.
Okay, wow, that's a lot.
On my laptop.
That's a lot. They're all good? They're all this good? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Well, everyone likes them.
Okay, I was gonna say 120 is a lot. I was thinking, here's my 10 good ones, and then I've
got 120. Anything Hari Singh Nalwar's Jeevan to basically AI and what the future is going to be. Christianity, Islam, all the major religions, and socialism, capitalism, and communism with Gurmat, and to basically everything. I've got like something really interesting happened to me once, which was I was invited to. I did a Sikh Society talk at a university. Sorry, I'm going off at a tangent.
No, it's totally fine. Tangents are great.
I went to a Sikh Society talk, and the kids loved the talks that I was doing at the university. And then they said to me, Jagjit Singh, you are so good. We want you to come next week because they've got the Atheist Society talk, and we're going to put you on the panel.
Oh wow!
And I was like, I'm always up for a challenge. I love it because I love debating. And you'll see that with a lot of us UK. We're very confident. You saw Jagraj when he went to Hyde Park, he does all his debates and everything. A lot of us like that because when you know and understand Sikhi and you realise Satguru Nanak Jinka Rakhi Meri, arm yourself with knowledge. That's what Jagraj said underneath, and arm yourself with knowledge. Yep. So the Atheist Society talks in university are very well set because they're designed to make the atheist look good.
Right.
So they have the atheist in the middle, they have the Christian, they have the Muslim.
Yeah.
And occasionally they'll just find someone else like a Buddhist, or this time they happened to find me, which was a Sikh.
Interesting.
And the way they set their questions up, and bear in mind, most universities are full of left-wing professors because they want to control the education system with the left-wing agenda.
Yeah.
And so they are masters at ripping apart Islam and Christianity.
Right.
Because they've done it.
Because that's the major ones you have to. Those are the major reasons people become atheists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they ripped them apart so badly. It was like the Christian guy was on the verge of tears.
Oh wow.
And every time it came to me, they didn't know what to ask me.
Right.
So it was like the standard questions. Oh well, why do you guys wear a turban?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you wear clothes and all your body's covered, and it seems odd to me that you will protect all your other parts of your body with clothes, but the very thing where you have the most important organ of your brain, which is
right, you're just using normal logic, normal reasoning.
Like, and then they just found it so refreshing. And so they always ask the fundamental questions to trip you up.
Yeah.
So like the example was, what does your religion say about people that don't belong to your religion or hate your religion?
Right. Yeah.
And so the Christian guy is telling him about his, but ultimately they're saying, yeah, but you guys were like persecuted all these people, you guys done this. And then the Muslim guys are on about, and they goes, yeah, but you guys killed all these people, because they know all the answers already.
Yeah.
They come to me. I goes, well, basically, we believe in Sarvat Pala. We talk about it every day. Nanak Naam Chardi Kala every day. We do ardas for the whole humanity. Nobody hates us because they have no reason to hate us.
Right.
You know? If they want to hate us, that's them, but we don't hate them.
Yeah.
And so everyone's welcome. We have a Ret Maryada, but everyone's welcome. You know, Guru Darbar Sahib has 4 entrances. Sarayao. And it was so refreshing.
Yeah.
And every time I spoke, they clapped me. You know? And that was like, the atheists were like, that's uncomfortable. We're not used to this. And that are running this.
Right.
And so at the end of it, they said, okay, this is like, they ripped the others 2 apart. They goes, okay, because this has been such an interesting exercise, we're next month going to hold a 1-to-1 with Sikhism.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So I thought, fine, we're up for a challenge.
Yeah.
So they said to me, come back next month.
Because they need time to study now.
Yeah. And we're going to have a 1-to-1 with Sikhism.
Yeah.
So I come back a month later, Sikh Society kids there. I'll bring my brother with me.
Yeah.
I thought if I get stuck on something, he can help me out. 2 hours, serious intensity.
Wow.
Because you had all these college professors and everything. How did the world begin? What is life after death? What is this?
Yeah.
What is that? What is this? And how can you say this happened? Everything. Simple answers. Sikhi to the max, basically answering everything, really polite. And they were like, wow.
They weren't used to that.
And then I had people saying, at the end of it, I said to him, what's your feedback? And the people were saying, I don't believe in religion, but if I did, Sikhi would be the only one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? Actually, fundamentally, though, I would think...
Just to finish that point, I invited them to the Gurdwara.
Oh, really?
All these atheists.
And they came?
And they came. and so I've always believed that we should be better at engaging. I believe we should be better at talking. We shouldn't be like, because what happens is what I find with, and sorry not to put down Amritdhari, etc., but Amritdhari, but I think sometimes we get into a mode of thinking that our Sikhi is for the Gurdwara and for our kids.
Right, right.
And basically, no. Our Sikhi we're so powerful, we should be sharing it. We should be going to universities and doing talks. We should be going into schools and doing talks. I did a talk at my daughter's school, and she's at a top private school. And it's probably 96% white. She's the only Keski Ali Bibi. And she was a bit nervous going through it. She left it becoming one of the head girl team. She'd done really well. And what I was doing is I would go in there and do talks on Sikhi, and because I wanted my daughter to be comfortable in that environment.
Yeah.
And they loved it, They were all asking me loads of questions. They were always really nice to my daughter all the way through school. And then what it was is because I taught them, I didn't say use the word meditation or Simran. I didn't use the word meditation. I say use the word Simran, and I specifically used Waheguru. And at the end of every talk, I would ask them all to close their eyes, and I would make them do Simran, sing Waheguru for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And for many of them, young girls, because I know that this is the top private school in the town.
Yeah.
They're going to be the people employing our kids in the future. We should really be engaging these people.
Right, right.
And they're going to be people we're going to be interacting with all the time. So we should be going into them places and engaging. That school invited me back before every summer exams because they realized that actually, because I was getting feedback when picking up my daughter, my wife was going, oh, we love what you do. You guys do Waheguru Simran.
Oh, yeah.
And because I didn't use the word meditation, and I specifically used Waheguru, the kids were saying, my daughter does Waheguru Simran at home. I love it. The parents were saying that to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the school realized before exams, we want this thing to come in and teach our kids how to do Simran. Yeah. Because it's better for them pre-exams. And so I did a talk, just how to pass exams with Waheguru Simran. And they loved it. And they called me back every year. And they said, do it because it helps them with their results. Because when you're in private school, all you care about is results.
It's all the results.
And so there's so many things. At university, we had one of the largest Sikh societies, and I put at that time I was young, I was naive. We had Sony Walkmans, you probably remember them.
Of course. Yeah.
And the kids nowadays don't know
they
any of this
have
stuff.
no idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And because people don't realize how hard it was for our generation.
Yeah.
And I remember cycling 20 miles from Slough to Southall on my BMX just to pick a book up on Sikhi.
Yeah.
You know, these kids nowadays, they just Google everything.
Yeah.
And then think, your generation, you don't know that much.
Right.
Yeah, because it was hard for us.
It was hard to get the information.
It's hard to get information. You have to put a lot of effort into it. It's not like we just found a podcast on this, or we just basically, you have like online Santhya.
Yeah.
We had to go out and really put loads of effort into
even
it.
to get Kirtan.
Yeah.
You had to get the tape from somebody, put it in a double cassette thing, and make a copy, and then you had a copy of the tape, and now your tape could get ruined or whatever. Now you want to hear Eddie Kirtan,
everything's on SoundCloud.
Just go online and stream it.
So going back to that thing, in terms of where was I? In terms of
well, you were saying about just now. You were talking about how like you were using the Simran, Waheguru Simran, and the kids were getting their better grades.
Yeah, the kids were getting their better grades, but what was actually happening with us was that at university, because I put up a sign for our Sikh Sai. I didn't put anything on the Sikh Sai. I just put stress from exams. Come to this room. This time, this date. And suddenly you would have like 60 people turn up. Chinese, Gore, black people, Muslims. Yeah. You know? And we would just had chadar on the floor. We had Srinagar wala cassette on. And then we would start Vajja. We would just do Simran. And the amount of them kids that just sat there and listened.
Yeah. Just de-stressing.
Yeah. And what would happen is as soon as they walk out, we would say to them, look, if you want to do more of this, here's a cassette player. Here's a cassette of Srinagar wala, and it was just Waheguru Simran, the whole cassette.
Yeah.
And then I remember walking university sometimes, and you'd be in the car park, and this car would go past with Gauri, and there was like blaring out Waheguru Simran. And for me, I think that's totally fine.
No, that's amazing.
Other people might be uncomfortable with it. For me, it's just like other people will realize this Waheguru Simran. Let me Google Waheguru.
Yeah. Well, no, not only that. Do we believe that Gurbani is for all of humanity?
Yeah.
Do we believe Simran is a solution for all of humanity? Whether you understand it or not. I mean, if we actually believe that as Sikhs, then why would we be surprised that it helps non-Sikhs?
The amount of people, I had Muslim girls come to me for advice. I had black people talking to me about their experiences. Yeah. Trying to get slavery in their heads. Yeah. This is why I talk about colonization so much, because I learned so much from young black students. Yeah. And it made me think about our Sikh journey. And I think all of these kind of conversations were really important, really formative for me. And then when we go and speak about it on the Gurdwara stages, is for our community is quite revolutionary, because I think what we've done is we become such a civilized, sanitized community that is more interested in appeasing Gore. And then basically sometimes forgetting who we are. Now that's a huge generalization.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But we have to realize there is an element where we can sometimes overcompensate and forget who we are. Yeah. This is why you find so many people will change their names and start saying my name is this or my name is that and have a Gora name. Because you're trying to overcompensate instead of actually saying to them, actually, this is who I am. Right. And I just be comfortable with my name. I'll just teach you how to pronounce it properly.
No, I think that's all true. But the issue is the colonization is clearly, colonialism has influenced Sikhi, no doubt. We can see, even going back to Pant Prakash and Ratan Singh Pangu, what he was doing, he says it in the beginning, is what I'm doing is we have other people, the Muslims, telling the British our history. We need to tell them our own history. Well, in order to do that, he had to relate it somehow. They're asking him, well, do you have a holy book? Oh yeah, we have a holy book. It's called a Guru Granth Sahib. It's not, holy book is not our concept. That's not the Sikh concept, right? But all of a sudden we're being asked, do you believe in one God or do you believe in many gods? No, we're monotheistic religion. Well, are we really, going back to what you're saying about being atheist? Do we really believe in it?
Because what it is we're trying to explain we're trying to explain Gurbani in English.
In English. Well, no, not just that it's in English. We're trying to explain it to that English mindset.
So we need to go through just so that the viewers can understand what's actually happened to us.
Yeah.
So the way I explain it is that we used to be Maharajas and we've been turned into the workforce. And now you've been through this monologue
that in
yesterday.
The course too. Yeah, that's a good point.
And so essentially we had our own destiny in our hands. And this is why Punjabis or Punjab generally is known as a nation, because let's face it, India was never a nation.
Right.
There was many nations, and Punjab was a nation in itself. It was a self-governed country. And other parts where it's the Gore just created this concept of India just for administrative reasons. And so the thing is that it was unki because we had our own lands. If you lose your job, other people in the rest of India, they had jobs. They didn't own the lands. The Thakkars owned the lands. The landowners owned the lands. They were workers. They couldn't basically say, oh, what you guys are doing is wrong, because they would take them out of their jobs and all their bachchiyan ko khana nahi kha hunda si.
Right.
And so what it is, because we own our own lands, you could take our jobs away. That's why we had so many morche. We still have families to eat because it's our own lands.
Yeah.
But what we believe in, we believe in. That was a gift to us by Mandheer Singh Bahadur, to give us our lands.
Yeah.
At Maharaja Ranjit Singh's time, we had the strongest economy in the whole of Asia.
Yeah, yeah.
Our Nanak Sikha was worth $13.
Yeah.
I mean, 13 pounds.
Yeah.
And a pound was basically...
Which is really like $26, $27.
Yeah. It's like a completely next level of economy. There's reasons why he had so much gold and he's putting on Darbar Sahib.
Right.
And not just Darbar Sahib, he put it on mandirs, he put it on so many Gurdwaras, he built so many Gurdwaras, etc. Is because the whole of the economy from India to South China to South Russia to the Middle East, this was the conduit.
Yeah.
And so when the Gore took over, they basically took our Shastras, 300 bullock carts, and they turned them into the Indian railroads.
Yeah.
They took the Lahore treasury and they basically realized that when Lord Dalhousie was writing about it, he ran out of paper and ink.
Yeah.
And when we look at...
What you're referring to is when he was creating a register of all the treasures.
Yeah.
That there was so much.
Yeah, because we only talk about the Kohinoor Hira.
Yeah.
That's one.
Yeah, that's just one thing.
Millions of different things that they were there.
Yeah.
And when we look at Victorian Britain,
yeah.
When we look at Britain in terms of UK, because they call it Great Britain, but no country calls itself great. It's only this country that seemed to have even called itself the great. No one says that this is great states of America. It says it's the United States of America.
Right. I never even thought about that. That's funny.
So it's the only country that actually calls itself that. And it was nothing. It was just basically, most of the people that live in England know that most of it was built in Victorian times. And in Victorian times, where was the money coming? They admit themselves the jewel in the crown was India.
Yeah.
But India, they took over in 1 year. The actual jewel in the crown was Punjab.
Yeah.
And when I look at these motorways, when I look at these universities, when I look at, these towns hall buildings, I just think Punjab built that.
Yeah.
And then when you're a young person growing up, because the first thing young people, Sikhs, have to get through their minds is we all grow up in these countries and we believe we're minorities, And I believe that growing up. A lot of people, if you ask most people, and then when I explain to the kids, you might be a minority in this country or this locality, you are not a minority on this earth.
Right.
Because the brown people are the majority on this earth.
Yeah.
It's just that white things are projected on us. All our TV, all our movies and everything. Sure. And it's only now on Netflix and Amazon have realized actually the largest markets are China and India.
Yeah.
And therefore we should have brown characters and we should have Chinese characters, and now they're becoming more prominent. Because now they're playing to their largest markets. Yeah. And so majority of the world in the middle is brown and the people on top and bottom are white. But because we have this and because our history we are taught in our schools is not human history, it's white history. So like I give the example of Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. Right. Brown people were here.
There were already people here.
Yeah. And we were talking about Australia, you mentioned, but Captain Cook didn't discover it. He was brown people were there, Aborigines.
Yeah. Yep.
So brown people have traveled way before, but they won't tell you in schools that the chemistry you learn come from China. They won't tell you the maths that you learn comes from Middle East. Yeah. They won't tell you that so much of the things, philosophy and everything else that you might learn comes from India. All of this stuff's come everywhere part of the world. But they will only tell you what the white inventors done. They'll only tell you what the white Europeans done. So the history we learn in schools, I don't know what you learn in America, but I know in UK, the history we learn in schools is actually white history. It's white, and some of it is white supremacist history, but they very conveniently take out the whole section of common colonization.
Right.
And because they don't want you to know that. Just like you in America, I don't know if you study in schools that probably the world's largest genocide was done in American soil.
Yeah, no. I mean, the thing is, we have learned those things, but in general, that is not the focus. The focus is always, the Pilgrims came and they
exactly.
were with they sat with the Indians, they shared food together, and then later on you have the founding fathers were building. It's mostly around these. It's
things. Around what the European white settlers did.
It's not even just that they're European and white. It's American. So it's almost like that quote, history is always written by the victor.
So
right. So that's
as a young brown person growing up, firstly, it's quite revolutionary for a young person when I say that to them, that you are actually the majority on the earth.
Yeah.
Then their confidence starts going up.
Sure.
And then when I say to them, if you look at world history, because they're very good at saying this is a first world nation, this is a third world nation.
Yeah.
But let's define first world and third world.
Yeah.
First world nation are basically people that have white countries with white leaders.
I heard you say that. But the definition is actually more around economic.
Yeah, but why? Because they basically got looted.
Whatever the reason.
If you look at historically, Africa was a very developed civilization. I
know. But
Middle East, for example, America, sorry, we're going into political now.
Yeah, no, I don't mean to get into political, but I'm just saying it can't
America
flip.
bombed Iraq.
Yeah.
And when I was asked about that in UK, in a discussion at a university, and they said, what is your opinion on Saddam Hussein and everything?
Yeah, you mentioned that.
And I said, well, I don't know about Saddam Hussein, but basically you have a country with 100 years worth of history and you had a civil war and you nearly destroyed yourself.
All right.
And go and speak to a country, you're dropping bombs in a country which has 6,000 years.
6,000 years of civilization.
And, maybe go and have a conveation with them first about how you survived for 6,000 years.
Right. No, that's all valid points.
Religion, religion only comes from two parts on this earth.
Yeah,
it only comes from the Middle East and it comes from India. So Christianity, Islam.
You're talking about the major organized religions, though.
Yeah. So Christianity, Islam, Judaism comes from Middle East.
Yeah.
Hinduism, Sikhi, and Buddhism comes from Northern India or General India.
Yeah.
And so no of them organized religions, which are considered the six main world religions, nothing came from America.
Yeah.
Nothing came from Europe. Nothing came from Australia. So,
but you did have religions. You had all these Native American religious beliefs, but they're not the major organized religions. But you obviously had these religious beliefs.
Yeah, but they were basically, what I'm saying is they were natural buggers. If you look at the Apache tribes and everything, they were basically people that loved the environment.
Right.
And they did their chants and everything.
But they had a belief in an afterlife and spirits and things like this.
And these religions, well, we're going on to tap it, but they basically wiped them out. But essentially what I'm trying to get to is that
Wait, hang on. Did you ever hear the joke about India and the religions? Because in India you had Ram and Krishna and Gautam Buddha and Guru Nanak and Muhammad, like all these major religions coming out of the Indian subcontinent. Did you hear about this? You know why?
Why?
Because that was the place that needed it the most. So God sent all of his people there. You never heard
that one. I've heard other jokes, but probably not for this podcast. but the key point I want to get to is as a young person growing up in a westernized country, when you realize actually they talk to us like we're a third world country.
Yeah.
They talk to us like we're here to take away their jobs.
Right.
They talk to us like there's something wrong with us because we've got a different skin color, even though all it is melamine in our skin.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, when you look at Sikhs going to Canada, within 2 or 3 generations, they're going to be all white.
Yeah.
They're still going to be Sikhs. They're still going to call themselves Punjabi, but it's just the way your skin changes over generations.
Yeah.
But that's just a fact of where you live. It's the product of the environment you're in.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it is that the confidence levels in young Sikhs, when you have these conversations about we were these Maharajas and we basically got brought here and we got turned into the workforce and this was the environmental reasons for it. etc., like I explained in the parenting course, then they realize, actually, wow, I understand now. I understand why my parents basically came from Punjab and they're living here. I understand why I'm now a minority here. I understand why I'm the only Sikh kid going to this school, because this process happened to me and I need to understand where I'm from.
Yeah,
It's
there's
like
also
when
another
Marcus
thing that
Garvey's-
happens too, though. You could also, there's a switch that goes off like this. This is being taken by people who want it. I can also take it, right? Because then you start to realize that I am not against a machine that is so big and so large that I can't accomplish what I want to accomplish. I can accomplish anything and everything any other human can accomplish. That I am empowered to do that because that's who we were. We just got lost because other people took it.
No, because, and this is again something that you guys might agree with or disagree, What is, because we now understand in England about colonization and we're having these conversations quite openly, and our young kids are now thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's rare for any of our young kids now to want to go to the army. Because we look at it as why we basically fought in World War II and we lost Punjab. 83,000 odd Sikhs basically died and we lost our Punjab. Why are we now fighting wars for Gore with their politics?
Sure.
And if we're going to do something, we should be thinking about Arqam and Punjab. And then when I come across here, and you can tell me because I don't have a great understanding of America. I've only been here a few times, but I hear about young Sikhs going through the armies.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's economic because they can get to university, but do you really understand that whose wars are we really fighting? And do we ethically believe in the things that are happening?
Yeah. So
and so it puts you in this massive gray area.
I know several people that have gone now through the military, including my father. My dad served in the Army and worked for the Air Force. But I can tell you this from the people that I know and the people that I've talked to, and there's a couple of them I'm hoping to have on the podcast soon too. But it's not so much that you're going to serve this white master that's going to fight these wars for white people. It's more that there's a certain, there's certain character, certain ability that you need to develop, and that by being a part of these systems, you can change them. So as people join the military and then they start to win the respect of other people and they start to move up in the ranks, they're actually becoming part of the solution for fixing what kind of wars we go into. Because now all of a sudden, if you have Sikhs at the top of the United States military, generals, they're advising Congress, they're advising the president on what is the right strategy somewhere. And they're bringing Sikhi principles with them. This is what we want. We want them going into politics for the same reason. Go into politics so that you can change the policy. So we can change the direction of the country.
There's two viewpoints in UK, but I think what happens in UK, because you're not living in the very country that's colonized you.
Right. There's a difference. You're right. Yeah.
And so essentially when you're in UK, we are very no, we don't want nothing to do with army, and basically because we believe that this is the country that colonized us.
Right.
And we're not anti-Gore, but what we are is we're anti-colonialized thinking, we're anti-racism, we're anti all of that kind of thing. We think people of color matter, and people of color's opinions matter, and people of color need to be seen. So that's where we're really.
But you don't think that would help being in the British military? Wouldn't that help that perception? Wouldn't that help make the visibility and bring that voice to it?
I don't think so. I think that basically because it's so ingrained, but this is it like it's unforgivable? They can never redeem themselves, or do you need to see redemption before you see participation, kind of thing? No, what I see is that I think the world is changing so fast. And I don't see that as much in UK, but I see that in Canada and America and everything else, Australia. It was an interesting experience that my brother had in Australia, where the school, when he went to visit our relatives, the primary school, when they started the assembly, they actually said at the beginning of the assembly, we basically pay homage to the First Nations of Australia for everything that we did to them. And I thought, wow, man, that's quite revolutionary.
Yeah,
we would never think of anyone saying that in UK. And that we apologize to all the Commonwealth nations because there was no Commonwealth. There was a common loot, and which was done just to basically subjugate them from taking everything that they have and turn them into our mass workforce. And basically spreading them around the world because that's the only way they could survive.
Yeah, I think Canada also does a lot of times. They'll do these acknowledgements of the native nations.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
I know. I think what we are seeing in our lifetimes, and I think more we're going to see in our children's lifetimes, is the rise of people of color in all of the institutions of democracy, in the media, in journalism.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing. I think you're going to get a lot more balanced views as a result of that. And I think that is something that we should encourage. But coming back to my key thing is, I want to see Sikh kids growing up with mass confidence.
Right. That's the key thing.
And that is what I'm projecting in my talks.
Yeah.
And that's why I will talk about colonialism. I will talk about, because I see them fundamental as the reasons we are in the circumstances we are. Because you have to understand what's happened to us through a migration journey. You know? So through a migration journey, what happens is the first generation have to just survive. And so like my father came out in 1965 and he wanted to go to university, but he couldn't. At 18 years old, my Babaji sent him to England and he had to survive. And then he got married in England and then we were born, etc. But that first generation has to give qurbani of their lives just to pay the bills and basically survive and send money back to Punjab and build these Gurdwara. And so we have a huge amount of respect for that generation.
Yeah.
And then, so like account of it as like I tell my talks, that we're like a bird and you have two wings. You have your worldly side and your spiritual side. So that one generation put a lot of effort into their worldly side. Then what you see in cyclic and migrant communities everywhere in the world is that the first generation works hard. The second generation becomes very academic and does well educationally because they develop a really good work ethic and they realize, if I don't get well educationally, I'm going to end up doing the same jobs.
Right.
I know. And so now we've got two generations that put a whole lot of effort into their worldly side. And what we've missed is the other side. So now we've got our cars, our houses, we've got everything. But nanak dukhiya subsansar. That we still have things inside our families and our communities which we're not happy.
Yeah.
We don't feel comfortable in our skins. And everything. For me, it's about getting back to being comfortable in our skins. And for that is the redress between our worldly side and our spiritual side.
Right.
And I think we need to have that. And for me, when you talk about, because we look at the migration journey of Sikhs, you're just talking about these Western countries of USA, Canada and America. In UK, a lot of our population came out in the 60s and 70s and they're from Doaba. I believe in Canada, they came out in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
90s really seemed to,
and probably USA as well at the same time. In Australia, I'm saying more 2000 onwards. So we're slightly ahead in our migration journey. Not saying that. So I think there's a lot of things that we've experienced in UK that you're now starting to experience. And the more we talk to each other, you will make less of the mistakes that we make. So we need to have this conversation. And I think in the parenting course, I cover quite a lot of this.
Yeah. You know, when you were talking about that in the parenting course, some of the things that came to my mind, it's really funny because like you had a certain impression of America and then you come here and I have a certain impression of the UK and I'm not the only one. I talked to my parents, I talked to some of my friends, and we always look at it as like the worst things in Sikhi that are hurting Sikhi are these weird trends that they all seem to come from the UK. Really? Like we see them 10 years earlier in the UK, and then it'll be like take about a decade, and then we start to see them here. For example, I love Nihung Singhs. I love the Nihung lifestyle. I love the idea of Nihungs, but I have some Maryada issues with the way that Nihung.
I think you'll find most people in the Bantru.
I know, but I remember.
I personally love Nihung Boli. I love Nihung
there's
Bana,
a lot to love there.
And I love Nihung Soj. I love the thing that you're just here and you're a man of a Akal.
Yeah, this kind of free
you're
spirit
the Akal
and Jagdikala.
I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
I have an issue with Shardai, particularly when it's got bhang in it.
No. There's a lot of, that's what I'm saying.
It's the soft drugs leading to the hard drugs concept.
We can get into that. But the thing is, what I'm saying there is, We had zero Nihung Maryada anywhere in the United States or even Canada. But about 20 years ago, I was seeing it in the UK. I was seeing clashes, this Nihung group, Nihung youth over here clashing with this. And, there's some very prominent Nihung Singhs that are like our age that do Parchar, and now you see these different dals that have set up, and they're even attracting people from normal Sangat or Jatha Sangat or Taksal, and they're starting to follow this Nihung Maryada. We had none of that 15, 20 years ago. Yeah. Now we're starting to see it though. It always seems to come from there. Like anything like this, if I hear like, oh, there's a clash between one Jatha Bandi and another.
What happened in UK is that there's one particular personality who we see as a very negative personality. We don't need to mention his name.
Yeah, I find him very entertaining. Yeah. I find him very fascinating. But yes,
he came and created quite a bit of a splash because he was extremely controversial. Most of the people around him disappeared because some committed suicide. A lot of them left Sikhi because the whole thing was just very negative energy, and it disappeared. And that was a lot of it because the UK Sangat reacted. They didn't like it. They weren't comfortable with it. And now you've got a different type of thing where it's a different kind of Nihung thing, but because the UK Sangat reacted to it, a lot of them people that are pro this, they didn't stay in UK, they came to North America.
But that's kind of what I'm saying. It seems to get imported from UK. Yeah, I don't know if it's the people or the thinking.
Let me explain my understanding on this. Yeah. Like I said, I love many aspects of Nihung thing, but I'm not a Nihung. What I see is that with some of the Jathebandi, they are trying to have a battle of authenticity.
Yeah, that's what's happening across the Panth, actually.
Yeah. And so you have like Taksal will say, we have this lineage back to Guru Gobind Singh and Baba Deep Singh, our first Jathedar. Now, there's many people in the Panth that believe that is not accurate.
Sure.
But they believe it is accurate. Okay, so that's there. Now, these Nihungs are coming with their own lineage. Right. But you do realize that this is actually a bit more authentic. They're really pushing. We are the true lineage. Yeah. We are the true people.
Because they have some historical evidence to back up their claims. Yeah. So then it becomes,
But they're the only two groups that are talking about lineages.
Well, kind of no. Akhand Kirtani Jatha has their own. We have, I shouldn't say we, but Akhand Kirtani Jatha, I think in general, they have the idea that Bhai Mandheer Singh had revelation of what Guru Gobind Singh's actual Maryada was.
So that's
also creating a lineage back to Guru Gobind Singh.
But Akhand Kirtani Jatha, all missionaries, or other groups, because you have the Deras and Babbis and stuff. Yeah. So let's imagine the Akhand Kirtani Jatha say, oh, actually, our lineage started from Bhai Mardana because he's the original Akhand Kirtani. He only done Akhand Kirtan. And therefore, and then they made up
They draw the line.
After him, it was this person, it was this person, it was this person. Well, imagine a missionary saying, we go back to Guru Amar Das Ji because Guru Amar Das Ji created all these missionaries and he sent them around the Panth. And But they don't do that because essentially they know that it's not really true. And essentially, it's like, it's not the point.
I know, but missionaries do have a claim to authenticity. They will claim that our research has revealed this was the authentic Sikhi. Okay. Everybody has a claim on this authenticity.
Let me give you my viewpoint on all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not really interested in lineages. Yeah. Because as far as I'm concerned, we are all sons and daughters of Guru Gobind Singh.
Right, 100%.
So every single one of us has a lineage.
Yeah.
So the way I look at it is, in Sikhi, you have levels of authenticity. Okay. So the most authentic thing we have is the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Okay. So that is our supreme living Guru. That is authentic.
Okay.
Then what we have with that is we have Bhai Gurdas Ji Avara, Bhai Nandalal Ji's writings, Dasam Granth, because when you consider all of them, that is called Kirtan.
Okay.
You can do Kirtan of all of them four things and it be considered Kirtan. Some people also add Sarbalo Granth on there. I personally don't know enough about it. I'm not here to question it or anything, but essentially they are...
Yeah, isn't the Askirpan Khando Kharg...
And so is Khalsa Mera Rupe Khas and all of them. So I think, because just to finish, the way I look at this is that we as a Qaum have been in a constant state of Shangarsh from Guru Arjan Dev Ji Shahidi to today.
Yep.
And so we were first fighting the Mughals. Yep. Then we were fighting the British, and then we're fighting Brahman Raj.
Right.
The cream of our Panth in every generation has been either killed or basically is imprisoned. And that's happening till today.
Yep.
By coming out, we are first time having a bit of SAR. The Punjabi can get
a little break.
So now we're just battling assimilation, which is a battle in itself, but we're not being killed by it. So now for the first time, the diaspora can go back and look. Yeah, we can learn about our rags. We can learn about our history. We can read Panth Prakash. We can read what Dasam Granth is. We can read what Sarbulu Granth is. Let's not close our eyes to any of this stuff. Let's actually go and research it. And I fundamentally believe that. I believe we should be studying the Guru Granth Sahib. We should be studying all of this stuff. But I believe there's levels of authenticity. So you have the Guru Granth Sahib, you have Bhai Gurdas Singh Vara, Bhai Nand Lal Ji's writings, Dasam Granth, etc. Underneath that, we have Janam Sakhiyan. And then underneath that, we have other things in terms of text, etc. But then we have other texts from actual Sikh writers, so Bhai Veer Singhs, etc. And there you will have like Panth Prakash and Suraj Prakash and all this other stuff. The problem, I think, and this is just my theory, is that sometimes what some of these people in these circles, they're taking Panth Prakash and literally using that as their gospel. Whereas for me, that is not my gospel. That is something that inspires me with the historical stories of my Prathan Singhs. But just because it says about Pang in there or it says about something else in there doesn't mean I need to start doing it. Because for me, the Guru Granth Sahib is there and it's got the Bani in there. And if it says that Mas, Mashli, all of these things, Pang, Nahi Khane, that's enough for me. And I'm not going to do that. The other aspect I look at this is someone who's a healthcare professional who deals with dementia. I see a lot of people on the other side of marijuana abuse. Okay. So people that were doing it in the 60s. When you had all of this cultural revolution and change and freedom that people talked about, and suddenly all these young people are doing marijuana.
Like the hippie culture or whatever.
Hippie culture. They're now in our care homes. And because I talked about the average age in my care home was 85. And then 17 years ago when I started it, and then 10 years ago I had the first 50-year-old, now I've got the whole top floor at 50. And I'm looking at these people and I'm seeing them because people say, oh, there's nothing wrong with a bit of marijuana. There's nothing wrong with a bit of Pang. For me, I'm not denying that Pang didn't exist. Pang did exist. Singhs did use Pang. Singhs did do hunting and all of that stuff. There's no denying that. There's so much historical evidence of that. But for me, that was the medicine of the times.
Exactly. That's the point.
That was the medicine of the times. And if you got like Bhai Jassa Singh Ahluwalia in the Kalukara, he comes out with 22 different wounds on his body. And he puts a bit of Pang on there. Or he drinks a bit of Shardai. That for me is medicine. Or like there's a quote I read where a British guy during the Anglo-Sikh Wars, he blows the leg off of a Sikh with a cannon, and the Sikh's legs blown off from his hip, and he has an eyewitness statement where he reaches in his pocket and gets a patta and he puts it in his mouth, and he's still trying to fight, but he's got that. For me, that is like that person is just trying to get through the pain of what they're going through, but still trying to juge. That is very different to a young person today.
Just sitting there playing Xbox.
In the morning, playing Xbox and basically having a bit of Shardai and then spending the rest of the day on the sofa. And the parents thinking, what the hell? I wanted my kid to be coming into Sikhi and he's just lying around.
And then he's quoting Panth Prakash.
So I think what it is we have to be careful because in UK, none of these drugs are legal. And I know in America, some states they are.
Well, almost all of them. There's, I think, like 40 plus states. There's 50 total. So 40 plus states, it's legal medicinally, and then like 25 or 30, it's legal recreational.
And there's this thinking, and I'm not saying but I understand law because I studied law. Everything is legal until someone makes it illegal. That is a fundamental principle, isn't it? You can do anything you want until someone signs legislation and says that's illegal now, isn't it? And so the thing is that I think people are looking at this I'm talking government level, in terms of tax revenue. They're thinking, we're going to legalize this. It reduces the criminality and we're going to have tax revenue. I think the part that they miss, which I see as someone frontline healthcare, is the thing they're going to hit in maybe 15, 20 years' time with the amount of people that are doing it getting dementia or having serious memory issues, or the fact that their minds are slowing down and all of this stuff, and you have a healthcare time bomb.
Yeah.
Which they might not care here because the government's not paying for healthcare.
Yeah.
But in UK, because we pay for healthcare, that is
it becomes a much bigger issue.
But in UK, they're talking about legalizing. But coming back in terms of Sikhi.
No, but wait, real quick on that point though. Also, the legalization, one of the arguments is that it reduces the amount of abuse. Because now it's legalized, so
but
now it's...
Is it really?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because we're not in them circles.
I have no idea, but that's the argument they make, because they say now it's being prescribed. That's one side, the medicinal side of it.
I just think it's made it less taboo.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I mean, I kind of agree with you on this.
But essentially, the way I look at it, and going back to it from
because you want to say about Sikhi perspective.
Sikhi perspective is that I feel I was very fortunate being surrounded by the Gursikhs I was when I took Amrit.
Yeah.
That taking Amrit wasn't the highlight of my spiritual Sikhi.
Right.
It was the beginning, and they took me on a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of young people today, because they're getting into these circles and they're getting into these kind of things, of these kind of Shardai and all that. And I think they're going to miss out on that possibility of that spiritual journey. I remember a Singh was telling me a few weeks ago, he goes, there was a Singh in his town who started doing this kind of bhang thing. And then the guy said, oh, when I do Kirtan afterwards on the Vajja, I'm on a different level.
Yeah.
And the Singh was saying, seriously, what are you talking about? You know, you just got psychedelically high and then you're trying to do Kirtan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be like that, but afterwards, where are you going to be in 3 years' time? Where are you going to be? Is that every time you're going to do Kirtan, now you suddenly need to have a pint of Shardai or something? And it doesn't make sense. He was saying to me, like,
I don't know, man. I don't know, because I've heard that Ragi Balbir Singh, like in the recordings, like if you hear him from the 70s, Jate Gang, where he's like, it sounds like it's on another level. I have heard that he used to do Pang before he did Kirtan.
I'm not
because he followed Nihung Maryada. He used to have a tiger. He used to have a tiger with him in Darbar Sahib, Ragi Balbir Singh. Yeah. And he followed Nihung Maryada.
Okay.
I
don't want to get into a whole...
Because we know musicians kind of get funny with it, but...
I don't want to get into a whole of, like, let's just go negative on Nihungs.
Yeah, I don't want to get negative on Nihungs either, but like from the Sikhi perspective, though,
from a Sikhi
we know that mind-altering state is not acceptable. That we use... Nam is the thing that we use to
let's just finish that story on the Kirtani.
Okay, yeah.
And I know Ragi Balbir Singh at the end of his life had some controversies with going to Ashwin. But at the end of the day, people really respected him for the years of seva that he did.
He was an amazing musician. Yeah. I guess we could say that.
But I remember speaking to Master Niranjan Singh once. And very well respected Singh. Yep. Loved doing his Sangat.
Yeah. Very humble.
I said to him, Bhai Sahib, explain to me about Kirtan and how to be a great Kirtani.
Yeah.
And I had just met Gyani, I'm trying to the name has just slipped me. He was at Dullah Ji's wedding. Gyani Nar Singh.
Gyani Nar Singh, Hanji, yeah.
I only met him once.
That's okay, yeah.
He was in Slough Godora. He done the most amazing Kirtan.
Yeah.
And then afterwards he stood and the Sangat had so much respect for him. They said to him, Bhai Sahib, you got to do Ardas. He did Ardas, and when he was doing Ardas, when he got to the bit about Jere Gursikhan de Jene Bachchan de Band Katwaye, he was emotional.
Yeah.
And the whole Sangat started crying. You know, so many people were so emotional in that Ardas. And it was led by such a spiritual person.
Yeah.
He uplifted everyone's.
Right.
And I said to Master Niranjan Singh, tell me about Gyani Nar Singh.
Yeah.
Because that guy, I thought that was just amazing. I had not seen anything like that. Because there's one thing being a musician,
Yeah, exactly.
And there's one thing uplifting in an Ardas after your Kirtan, about 300 people to Vasta.
Right.
I physically saw that happen.
You felt what he was feeling.
Everyone felt it.
Yeah.
And so he said to me, this is the whole thing about Kirtanis. He goes, when I was a young person, I used to cycle past his house. And he goes, it would be like such heat in the days. But he used to sit on top of his house doing Kirtan by himself. No tabalji, nothing.
Oh, really?
And he goes, the sweat from him, you could see it dripping down the side. Wow. But he was in his own avastha. And he was just on his vajja, just doing kirtan, sitting there for hours.
Yeah.
And he goes, when a person who's done bhakti like that comes into the Sangat, then you know they're a kirtani.
Interesting.
And what we have today is we have a lot of people that do flashy tunes. And can do kirtan fast. Right. And then we give them this pump and everything. And I'm just like, for me, it's like we need to rediscover that's when, and this is the whole thing, when you look at this whole thing that young people growing up, I feel quite sorry for them because I came into Sikhi not knowing anything about any Jathibandiya.
Right.
All I knew was that I'm going to take Amrit where I've seen the most Jeevan Wale Singhs.
Right.
And for us, that was basically, we saw Bhai Rama Singh, Bhai Janel Singh, Bhai Raghbir Singh, and everyone said to me from every Jathibandi, if you're going to take Amrit, they're the Singhs to take it from because basically they're on next level.
Yeah.
And I went there, and then I learned about Saskar Simran, and they looked after me, and I'm eternally grateful for the journey they took me on.
Yeah.
And I look at young people today, and I'm thinking, they're taking Amrit, and their first get hit is, are you going to be Nihung? Are you going to be AKJ?
Right.
Are you going to be Tiksal? Are you going to be Blandapuri? Are you going to be this? And then they have to go through this minefield, and then suddenly they got to think, well, it's easy, I'm just going to be Panthak.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing. We got to reinforce that.
Are you taking Amrit to basically
join a group?
Join a group? No. It's like, I always say to him, read Bhairav Singh's book about Amrit Ki Hai, because he says, why are you taking Amrit? Is it because of your family? Is it because of social status? Or is it because of Naam Ras? And if it's because it's Naam Ras, then you're taking Amrit for the right reason, because then you're going to jap Naam after taking Amrit.
Right,
if it's for all the other reasons, then taking Amrit is going to be the spiritual peak of your journey.
Yeah.
And so Naam Ras is really important. And I think what it is that we got, like I said, we got to simplify Sikhi again. We got to find the real beauty in Sikhi, because too many people are getting like, so I know young kids now that, they're saying, well, you only can be a real Singh of Guru Gobind Singh if you're having the Shardai.
Right, right.
Or you only can be a real Singh of Guru Gobind Singh if you're following this Santhya.
Right.
Or you only can be a real Guru if you're going to this Ransway. Or you only can go, and we need to basically, who is the real Singh of Guru Gobind Singh?
Yeah.
It's the person that's doing Sahaj Parts and doing Simran and building their Vasta, but also realize that Bhakti is only half a Sikh. Bhakti is only half a Sikh because the other side is your Pashai Dava and your Shangarsh, and about changing the world and finding Azadi. And this is the element of Sikhi that sometimes I think we need to talk about more of, because when the Mughal Darbar, when they said to the Chote Sahibzade, if we let you go, where would you go? What would you do? They didn't say, that's it, we're going to go and do Bhakti and we're just going to go and build a dera and we're just going to basically do Naam Japping. They said, no, we're just going to build armies and we're going to come back.
Yeah.
And we also realize we are also born to build armies.
Right.
And learn our Shastras and not be afraid of our Shastras.
Yeah.
And this is why I find this whole journey to America is quite interesting, because the European propaganda that has been put into us, I now see it, and I think actually there's certain things here that I do find quite refreshing.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. It's very interesting to see your perspective now, because now you have certain ideas about America. Because you had mentioned to me earlier, things about it's so racist, it's so much violence, it's so much this.
When you look at news in UK, and I think the Europeans have this certain arrogance that they've always had, that basically they look down on everyone because of the whole colonial systems they're in.
Okay.
And when you look at America, they will just say school shootings. They will just basically say, the whole gender equality debates, even though they're now starting to have them, but not on the scale that you have them out here. These debates, and obviously lack of healthcare. These are the fundamental things they always bash America with. But just to finish that point off, this is really important, that we have to understand the words Pashai Dava.
Yeah.
We have to understand that we have been adorned by Guru Hargobind Sahib to basically have a Miri and Piri side.
Right.
And a lot of our Parchar is based around the spiritual side, and especially in Deras and our Jathibandis, do your Bhakti and everything, which is good. And this is where I think the Nihungs find a space, because they realize actually we do have a void I know. So unless you're into the Shangarsh and you're into like the Babbars or Pindramali or that kind of stuff, for many people, they find this actually quite refreshing. You know, we do have Shastras. You know, why do we have Shastras? And if you ask me, I got asked that at camp, why do we have Shastras? Why do you have Shastras in front of Guru Maharaj?
Yeah.
Fundamentally, my answer was because we were born from the Shastra.
Yeah.
You know, we are the nation that was born from Shastras. When we take Amrit, it's our birth and is born from a Khanda.
Right.
We have a Bhatta and we have a Khanda. Right. That's our birth. And our home is Anandpur Sahib.
Yeah.
And so basically, there should be a part of us fundamentally in our mind thinking, that is our home, Anandpur Sahib.
Yeah.
And no matter where we live in the West, at some point, we do want to go back. And I think this is more of a conversation. Are we going to spend generation to generation now in America, Canada or something? Or at some point, are we going to have some reverse migration and actually start thinking, yeah, we know there's political issues in India. We know Sikhs are being persecuted in India. But fundamentally, are we going to end up like the Christians are in Bethlehem?
Yeah,
in Bethlehem, they've got the Muslims on one side, they've got the Jews on the other side. No one even asks the Christians.
Right.
And that is the birthplace of their religion, is Bethlehem.
Right.
We're going to end up like that. So we got to realize that there is ethnic cleansing going on in Punjab. It's been happening through first genocide, then it happened through drugs, and it's still happening through drugs. And now it's happening through mass immigration. And at some point, we do have to look at, we do have
mass immigration. You're talking about the people that are coming into Punjab now,
and
as
also
well as the
students
ones
coming out.
People that are leaving.
And so that demographic change is happening, and it doesn't matter how well we do in America, Canada, England, Australia.
Yeah,
you're never going to build a Darbar Sahib here. You're never going to build an Anandpur Sahib here. You're never going to have the rules of Fatehgarh Sahib here, and your children are going to want to experience that.
Yeah,
I know when I went to Punjab. And I went to Baba Bakale, and I just sat there, and I was thinking, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji de Bhakti hai, and I just got in such a spiritual state just by being in that place, and then when I went to a Ranswai under city Kaltak Sahib, you know, even my kids were saying that was the best experience I've ever had.
Yeah,
there's something about them places that can never be replicated out here, and I think our future generations are going to be financially affluent, they're going to be comfortable, they're going to be well educated, and I think as a Panth we do have to have a strategies to basically realize that we are all children of Anandpur Sahib.
Yeah, and that's probably a good way to bring this all back, and we can start wrapping things up. But all of this you do cover in the Sikh Parenting Course that you do, and essentially what you're trying to do is make sure that the youth that are growing up, that are being raised by us parents, that they are confident, they know who their guru is, they know what their value system is, and they know how to succeed in these things. That's essentially the goals.
Yeah, and what I realize is when you talk about parenting, it's such a wide topic. And when the demographic that come to that event is such a wide.
Sure, yeah.
And so what I find is it's intense, like you said, but what I'm doing is throwing out loads of seeds of thought.
Yeah.
And at different stages, it's going to affect people differently. Because some people are not parents yet.
Yeah.
But they're thinking about the future. Some people are young parents. Some people's kids are grown up. Some people are grandparents.
Right.
And I'm trying to cater for everything. Because essentially it's strategic. For me, I look at all the problems that I seeing these thousands of kids that I've seen coming through camps and Sikhi Gurdwara and all this stuff. And I'm looking at, can we create a generation where the parents from day one know exactly what they want to do with their kids in terms of giving them the balance of spiritual, meaty and piri.
Right.
Teaching them similar at a point where they're young and so they have less access to Kam, Krodha, Lobh, Monkar. So they have a better chance of developing their spiritual avastha.
Yeah.
And at the same time, creating elite mentalities, because our schools are designed to create blue-collar workers, and teaching our kids you can be ultra successful and stop just looking at other people.
Yeah. So you don't have to figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
This is what everybody's doing right now.
Which people struggle with technology, giving them real solutions, explaining circadian rhythm and your hormonal systems to them, because we're only learning about that now.
Yeah.
And if someone had told us in our 20s, we probably would have been in better health.
Yeah, we would have thought about it differently.
And all of that kind of stuff. And talking about the way we should speak in a house, because some of the thoughts that I shared yesterday was very revolutionary for many people because all they've seen in their house is glaze.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
you know,
there's a lot of seeds of thought in there. And I find that everyone takes it very differently because according to their lived experience.
Yeah.
But there's something in there for everyone. And this is the feedback I've had. I mean, now we've gone past the 10,000 mark. We're now coming close to, I was working out the other day, we're close to 11,500 people have done it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of great stuff. It is a long and intense thing, but there's a lot of great things. There was like 3 or 4 really golden nuggets that I took away from it. But if there were some things that I would say that would maybe help or make it better, and maybe it's for American audiences. I don't know if this is true for all audiences.
Yeah, I'm new to the American audience.
Yeah. So, and maybe this will help you guys. You can take it as constructive criticism or something. But one thing is, I think when you talk about any kind of study about, especially when you're talking about any kind of mental health issues or even healthy, like you're talking about sleep, I think it's a good idea to cite the sources. Like, oh, there was a 2014 study at the University of Wisconsin that showed this.
In the technology one we do, because you saw all the sources underneath.
Yeah, but no, the sources are there. I'm saying
in the
as
other
you
stuff,
teach it.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
I can look at that, yeah.
Because it's easy for people to just dismiss, oh, that's just his opinion. Oh, he where did he get that from? We like that you tell us, hey, in 2014, Ohio State University did this study and they found that sleeping 8 hours a night, but getting 2 hours of deep sleep, whatever the details are.
Yeah, because when you did the technology one, it showed Reuters, it showed New York Times.
Yeah, you had that
the Royal
written there.
Society of Public Health.
Yeah.
And it showed NHS statistics.
That's one thing I would definitely do. The other thing I would do is I would look into it's a lot of information, so it's going to be hard to do this, but I would look into figuring out how to make it more interactive with the Sangat. And what I mean by that is like, when you were talking about like how you talk to children, it's a really good point. You had a really nice slide. It showed like the kind of words that are coming out, how they affect child. And then we watched a video too, how they copy everything you do. But hang on. So, those points are really good, but what I think would be more effective, and others may disagree, but if you said, okay, break up into groups, or even if you don't break up into groups, here's the scenario I'm going to give you. Scenario is this: your child has come home from school, they left their homework at school, and now their homework is going to be late. Do you A, do XYZ? Do you B, do ABC? Do you C? Do 1, 2, 3, and make people think through the options and see that this is obviously the correct answer. I need to get here, but I am actually here, or this is what happens in our house, but I should think about it this way. By giving people the scenario and working them through the scenario, I think you'll make a little more impact.
I would totally agree with that. And you have to understand the evolution of the course. I never wrote them lectures to be a course.
Okay.
They were actually 3 different lectures because I used to do them at the local Gurdwara on Sundays.
Yeah.
It's just that when I started going to other Gurdwara, considering I have 120 lectures and a lot of them have gone on TV channels and stuff like that, so many Gurdwara said, Jagjit Singh, so many parents are asking for your parenting course. And it wasn't the parenting lectures.
Yeah.
And when I'm in a place like UK and you're going like from one place to another, it's very easy to say, let's break up in groups because there's only one part. Is when I started traveling to Europe, I realized actually I haven't got the time to come here 3 weeks.
Right.
I can't come in 3 different weekends.
That's why I was saying it's very long and intense.
Then I realized that I've got to do this. I've got to do this in a really time efficient way. Bear in mind, I'm not a full-time Pracharak. I'm a Gresti Gursikh.
Yeah. No, I understand.
And I just basically take time out when
the effort is awesome.
It's just to understand so I go through this dilemma myself because if I was delivering it in my hometown, I would do all the interactive stuff.
Right. You could break it up and take your time.
Because I know I would break it up over a number of weeks. Yeah. And I've done that with different parts of that lecture because I've only done certain parts of it in certain towns.
I see.
And because they need a specific part. When I'm coming to these places, I fly in on a Friday night. I've got Saturday. I'll do a Sunday the one. And normally I fly out Sunday.
The other way you could do it is,
because on Monday I'm back at work.
Instead of giving handouts, you could give people a workbook.
Yeah.
You know,
So
that
these
could
are
be
kind
that
of
could
thing-
be the other
So this is
option.
the kind of evolution. So what we're doing now is we're rebranding it. I'm creating a new website.
Oh, I
and
see.
now what I'm going to do in that website is have a series of things that parents can go through.
Yeah. The,
And it's
final
it's
criticism
all about
I would have.
basically over time, because what it is I could have just put this online.
Yeah.
I've had it professionally recorded in Vancouver, in Toronto, and New York.
Okay.
Because we had amazing venues, and the Gursikhs there professionally recorded it for me.
Yeah.
And a couple of things I think, shall I just put this online? Because it can help people. But then I've realized actually there's an emotional journey that people are going through on that course.
Yeah,
And if they're watching in
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
and if they watch it online, they're just gonna hear snippets of it and then go and do some other work. Like you're saying, you're driving and you're hearing a podcast.
Yeah.
And the letters that I've had from the amount of families or the emails and the feedback, because I only show you a few testimonials. I don't show all the testimonials.
Yeah.
You know? And the kind of things, because people say really personal stuff sometimes.
I see.
You know? I once had a kid say to me, my dad used to beat me, and since you've done that course, he stopped beating me.
Yeah, wow.
He's made him really
That's
think.
quite an impact.
And I think, that Maharaj used me as a vessel to go to that town just for that.
Yeah.
I've had people saying that we were about to get divorced, and the way you talked about marriage made us rethink. We looked at our marriage totally wrong.
Interesting. Yeah, that's really good.
I've had two brothers say to me, we were about to divide our businesses up and go separate our ways, but you've talked to us and we've made us think actually the way we talked to each other was all wrong, and now we're going to stay together.
Yeah.
And then you realize that every single city that I've gone to, including yesterday, where some people spoke to me about really personal stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
And so, you have the impact that you have on the mass, but the real impact is then one or two families.
Right.
Where
it really
it's
hits home.
transformative for them.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it is that this is a constant evolution.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the feedback you've given me, Benji's given me, other people given me, and I'm going through my own personal educational journey, because the other beautiful thing that's happening in this process is I'm getting to see the Panth firsthand.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. You're getting out and
the amount of
on the
things
ground.
I'm seeing, where Sikhs are, what Sikhs are doing, what they're doing really good here. Is that best practice I can do there?
Sure.
And what I was imagining what's doing is this is becoming a catalyst for many towns, like even here, where we discussed ideas in the Gurdwara and other places. And then it becomes like a launching block for loads of things, which you would never do if I just did it online.
That's true.
Because you're having one-to-one conversations.
Yeah, it makes a big
what
difference
I'm
in
doing is
person.
linking up so many people in so many different places that I'd never met. But Maharaj has put me in the place where I can actually go and meet people.
Yeah.
And so I'm linking up people everywhere. And as a result, in some places, course camps happen because we managed to link people up. Singh's camps are happening. Khalsa camps are getting stronger. These things that we're working on a few projects on animations and stuff like that. Nursery rhymes. There's so many things that are happening in the background because we've managed to create them links.
Yeah, those are all good resources and they come in. I think
but definitely my education process about America is really helpful. My educational process in terms of realizing how there's so many different pockets here in America.
Yeah, it's
like my experience of going to Virginia and realizing there's so many tech professionals there, coming here and realizing there's so many engineers and people. Whereas we don't get that in UK. We get
it's
such
quite
a diverse.
No, we got diverse in areas. So like the reason you run into that is because there'll be a tech hub.
Yeah.
So all the engineers move there. Well, if all those engineers move there, they end up building a Gurdwara.
The key thing I would say to you is that one thing I do notice in America is that there's, apart from probably California, and I've only seen one part of New York, I'm going to go to New Jersey afterwards, but in many cities that I've been to, I feel that the kids are quite isolated. They've got small pockets of Sangat for the families that want to connect.
Right. I think that's
because
pretty true
I only
overall,
don't just look at them. I'm looking at all the Punjabi kids growing up in that town. Because I can relate to them Punjabi kids.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of them are growing up isolated.
Yeah. No, I think that's true.
And I think that we need to have a better strategy of how we're operating as a community.
Yeah, and I think this is why
I talk about the cluster living, which is I talk about, how you're going to get to the situation where I think one of the fundamental things I would say to American Sangat, I think you guys, if you want to work on a project, you need to have a national Sikh channel, TV channel, which is 24 hours. We got 4 of them.
I think
that's going to connect I know you got radio, you got everything, but have a 24-hour dedicated channel on Sikhi where you got vichar, because people just think, oh yeah, there's Sikhi Parchar on there, there's going to be Kirtan on there, there's going to be Katha on there. Well, people miss out. There's strategic discussions on there about health, about community building, about infrastructure building. So for me, I would say to the Michigan Sangat, I would be working collectively, especially now that you've got elections coming. That basically, because the thing happens, what happens in most Gurdwara, these Gori will come that want to get elected, or whoever. Sorry, I'm saying Gori, but generalization. But they will come, they'll take a few pictures and they will go. Because as a community, we're very bad at communicating with them. We need to develop here is a Sikh agenda. And on that Sikh agenda, you don't have like pages and pages. You have one A4 sheet and you have maybe 8 points. And I could probably say to you a few of them. I would be asking, if I was a person of this Sangat, I was saying, I want a 24-hour dedicated Sikh helpline where anyone victim of bullying, employment discrimination, domestic violence, anything, they can ring 24/7 and they will signpost them where they can get help. I would be asking for an elderly service being funded so that the Gurdwara gets a funded coach or a bus so that you can basically pick up your elderly people at 10 o'clock every morning, take them to a Gurdwara, turn it into a daycare center during the week, and basically drop them off at 5 o'clock every evening and have them pay for the bus. I would be asking for funding for 2 Sikhs, a Singh and a Singhani, as a full-time job where they're going around all the schools in Michigan and doing presentations on Sikhi. And I could give many ideas like that, and also even training law an education, in training law enforcement, an education process where you're teaching young Sikh kids to go into politics. So there you go. And for a person that's a politician, they will say, well, actually, there's a real 50-50 between Democrats and Republicans. So I need these people voting for me. And if they give me an A4 sheet and they've got these and they're quick wins, I can tick that off because that's just funding a coach. I can tick that off because that's just saying access to schools and I'm paying for 2 full-time workers. I can tick that off because that's 2 mobile phones and setting up a charity and setting up a helpline and getting them professional training as counsellors. That's an easy win for me as a politician. I'm just going to do that for the Sikh community because I want their votes. And you see how politics
those are really
works.
Good points.
And so essentially, we got to be better at that because otherwise they're going to come and take their pictures. And another election cycle is going to go and you're going to end up with nothing. And the other communities are ending up spending your tax money building their community infrastructure because they're linked in and they're connected. And we are not linked in and connected because we need to be started thinking about this stuff.
I think those are really good points. I mean, I'm definitely going to talk to some of the people here, and I'm sure they're already thinking about some of that stuff, but those are really good points. I think finally, just to wrap up here, on the course, 2 final criticisms, if you even want to call them that. I would say one is like you mentioned about Mata Gujari and Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji as parents and how they had Guru Gobind Singh as a son, and then Guru Gobind Singh as a parent. And I think it would be awesome I don't know how you're going to do this, but it would be awesome to know examples of what they would do besides just saying they were great parents.
I think the reason I brought that into it is for us to start looking at Guru Sahib in more practical ways.
No, I get it.
And so it's easy then for a parent to realize, actually, they were my role model as a father. And I'm a father because what happens, my experience of young people, especially Western people, Sikhs growing up in the West, they can be very anxious parents. Because they read all these books and everything and they're worried about everything.
They don't want to do anything wrong.
And they want to be like this perfect parent. And I'll say to them, look, there's a role model for you. Guru Gobind Singh.
But we just need to know what they did.
He was a scholar. He was a scholar. He was doing Amrit Vela with them. He was turning them into spiritual warriors. And we need to look at our kids and not just cover them up in so much cotton. And basically learn them to teach them to be tough.
I think that's the thing, though. What did they say what they did?
I take that on board. I think you're
And I think the final thing would just be, you do use Gurbani, but it doesn't feel Gurbani-centric. It's almost like...
I'm doing more of that. I think originally that was very intentional.
Okay.
Because 50% of the people that attend that course don't attend Gurdwara.
Right.
And if I had it really heavy in Gurbani, considering it's already 6 hours,
yeah,
and then I'm explaining the shabds in the middle of it.
Sure, no.
So I'm trying to make it really relatable to the Aam Banda, because I know that most of the Amritdhari families, they will have some kind of probably standing in terms of parenting, but they're not perfect parents and they want to improve. You know? And I think what it is I've done that slightly intentionally, but I'm thinking about actually changing that going forward. I'm thinking about taking some areas of it and actually making it a bit more Gurbani centric. Because particularly in what I find in UK and particularly coming to America, I think that because of things like Sikhi to the Max, I think because of YouTube, because of a lot of the Parchar that's happening, people, even the Aam person that's not Gisatari, is now becoming a bit more Gurbani
They can
centric.
connect. They can connect now.
And that trend is happening. Bear in mind that some of these lectures that you heard yesterday, I wrote them 15 years ago.
Right.
So the technology one I actually wrote 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And it's also the things we say. So that's when I started doing that talk. It was only later that I collated them into the parenting course.
Because you might not want to keep saying Xbox. At some point, people are going to be like, who has Xbox?
I remember once I said Sony Walkman, and they were like, what's a Sony Walkman?
What is a Walkman?
And then it makes you feel, oh my God, I'm old. But I would say one thing, Abinti, to you guys is that this is just, an attempt. And my attempt is that I feel that I came into Sikhi at the age of 18. And I wasted 18 years of my life because if only I'd come earlier. And I'm thinking this is an attempt that maybe other people would have a better chance.
Sure. No,
and so if the Sangha can do ardas for me and just help me along this process and give us a sisa, and then, because the way I say is all the Panth's children are children. That's not just the Amritdhari ones that go to the Gurdwara. That means all the Panth's children are our children. And we need to create resources for all the Panth's children.
Well, it's an awesome effort. I can tell you put a lot of time into it. I think people did get a lot out of it. And hopefully, like you said, you've planted some seeds, and hopefully it'll get people thinking now, and it'll get people to maybe organize a little bit better. But I do really appreciate you coming here today too. You came over and you spoke with me for over 2 hours now. We've been talking. It seemed like it just went by so fast. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. And I welcome you back anytime. And hopefully we'll have a lot more success with this. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.